Opening day, just like we used to.
Thunderstorms are rapidly developing the tornado watch area, and some of those thunderstorms are getting into an environment where tornadoes are entirely possible. This one here in Sumner County, we're really paying close attention to it. 645, large hail and damaging wind gusts, but the potential for tornadoes to develop here, we're going to keep an eye. We got both Jake, we got Alicia down there. We're going to be checking with them at the top of the hour. But very large hail now north of K44, and that's going to be tracking towards the north here. But again, we'll watch for areas of rotation to tighten up. Even south of Wichita, Hayesville right now got a thunderstorm going up. Cameron Venable is going to be tracking that one for us. Brad Ketchum, meteorologist, already been on this storm with some large hail. Looks like large hail is developing once again along US 56 here in Marion County, getting into southern parts of Dickinson County as that will continue tracking on off towards the east. We've already had some hail reports, 1 3/4 to 2 inches in diameter with these storms.
Brad's in 2-inch hail right now, by the way.
Oh, he's going to report a 2-inch hail as we speak. Again, southeast of Wichita is where we're very concerned about the potential for any storms that are individual to, in addition to the hail and wind, produce some tornadoes. So keep it here on KAKE, and we will keep you updated throughout the evening.
Now live from the KAKE studios, this is KAKE News at 6.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a KAKE First Alert weather day as storms are popping up along a cold front that's moving through parts of the state.
We could see large hail, strong wind, even tornado. The possibility ingredients are out there. Chief Meteorologist Jay Prater now joins us along with our weather team with the very latest. Jay.
Everything in green, including greater Wichita, Hutch, El Dorado, Winfield, Wellington, all the way to Salina and Harrington and Marion, all under a tornado watch until 9 o'clock. We're going to take you live to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. We've had some very large hail across parts of north central Kansas. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to take you down across south central. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Sumner County until 6:45 for large hail and damaging wind gusts. Notice we got 2 separate thunderstorms here that we're watching very closely. I'm going to back out of view here. We're going to go over to Jake Thompson. Jake is live near Caldwell now. Jake, let's get an update on you getting in a position for that storm coming up from Oklahoma.
Yeah, Jay, the northern storms is kind of struggling. I watched it from the very beginning. At times it would have really good inflow, but obviously something's causing it for it to struggle. So I'm heading south toward a storm that's just on the other side of the border that's more isolated. And I'm going to get in position for that and kind of see what it does as it heads toward the Kansas border here.
All right, thanks a lot, Jake. We'll keep in touch with you. Let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. So he's heading south to get more onto that storm, but what we're going to do is we're going to talk more about this one here. Notice we're getting a little bit of curvature, and as we back out across south central Kansas, I want to take a look at all the KAKE First Alert storm trackers that are out there. Notice that we've got Alicia Short, who's in the process of getting repositioned on the storm in Sumner County. She's near Milan right now. Now, Bryce is over in Augusta. We just talked with Jake, and we're going to show you Brad's position in Peabody in just a second. So let's get back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. And what we're going to do is look at the velocity data here with this thunderstorm in parts of Sumner County. We go over to Wichita. We're going to go to base velocity. We're going to put it in motion for you over the past 30 minutes. So we're keeping an eye here. You notice probably a little bit of curvature in the reflectivity part of the storm. Not really seeing an area of circulation, but we're going to keep an eye. Like I said, Alicia's just right down here on K44. This is going to be tracking to the northeast over towards Mayfield, staying to the west of Wellington. Right now, it's an area of concern that we are continuing to track. Notice other thunderstorms just starting to pop up now between Belle Plaine and Mulvane, and meteorologist Cameron Venable is going to be in a process of getting ready to go intercept that one pretty soon. He's currently in Wichita and keeping an eye on the storm source to see what would potentially go there. Okay, back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler, and as we head over into Marion County and northern Chase, severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30. Now, you'll notice it says tornado possible. When they first issued that warning, there was some circulation over near Hillsboro. That circulation has really weakened. It's all about the hail now from Marion and over where 56 intersects 77. It's out of Marion County now and out of Dickinson County now. But Colton, earlier, that's where we had the largest hail so far.
Yeah, that's right, Jay. In fact, primarily thus far, these have been hail-producing thunderstorms. That's where the big cluster of the most hail reports has been. We zoom in, we talk about some areas like Abilene over to Hope. This is Dickinson County. This was in the 4 and 5 o'clock hour, the largest hail. But within the last 20 to 30 minutes or so, we've really cranked up hail sizes. Look at the hail report. Dime to tennis ball size hail for the last 10 minutes. In Marion. These are photos from the Marion County Emergency Manager. We're talking around and at this point over 2-inch hail as we've continued kind of to track this. So if you want to get your photos on the air, please make sure what you can do, text them to us, 757-525-3697. Jay?
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go back over and show you. This is model data now. We're projecting into the future. And it's the thunderstorms southeast of Wichita and east of Wichita that we're going to be most concerned about getting into an environment that will increasingly become more available for tornado development. That's why we're really concerned, especially once we get a little bit past sunset here. The only good news is that eventually whatever happens, we'll get out of KAKE land probably by 11 o'clock. So keep it on KAKE, download the KAKE First Alert weather app, and we will keep you updated all throughout the night.
All right, thanks so much, Jay. And track any severe weather, no matter where you are, by downloading the KAKE First Alert weather app.
Now, your KAKE First Alert forecast with meteorologist Jay Prater.
Storms are rapidly developing across south central Kansas within the tornado watch area. So let's get you straight over there. These have been the big hail producers so far. We're starting to get reports of big hail, but this is more concerning about a tornado threat. Notice we've got two separate storms we're really concerned about. The one down in Oklahoma, that is going to be tracking into southern Sumner County. Jake is on that one. And notice that right along K49, I got to bring in Alicia Short now. Alicia, are you heading northbound on 49 now? What's your direction?
Yes, we're heading northbound right now on 49, and we're starting to find hailstones larger than ping pong ball size, and we're still moving north to check and see what has. Actually, we're seeing larger ones now. We just passed a couple. I'm going to pull off the side of the road and get a photo of them, and I'll send them right to you guys.
Tell you what, don't stop for the hail, because I don't want you to get out of position for what is about to be from Mayfield over to the north. Let's keep an eye on that part of the thunderstorm. Is that okay?
That'll work. That'll work.
Okay, so yeah, going up 49 towards 160, and then hang a right and head eastbound on 160. Let's keep you looking at that part of the thunderstorm that's off to the right side of your screen.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you, Alicia. Let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. We're going to show you why. See, she's right down there, and notice we did have that report of 3.5-inch hail. And rather than having her stop for that, don't want to get behind. Want her to come up 49, take that right turn on 160, because we want to keep an eye on that part of the thunderstorm that is on top of Mayfield. Let's go over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. Let's switch over to the velocity mode of the radar. So as we go over to base velocity, we're going to roll it. And notice how, okay, this is too far south. It should be up here, so we're not really concerned about this, but we're going to keep an eye right on Mayfield to see if some circulation develops with this part of the thunderstorm. Because between now and over the next couple of hours, the atmosphere is going to improve in terms of trying to make severe thunderstorms, including tornadoes. So that's what we're keeping an eye on. And you know, we got a lot of the KAKE First Alert storm trackers out there. You'll notice that Bryce is down towards the south also. He is right now near Belle Plaine, getting in position again. We already talked with Alicia. Gene Thiessen, here's near Gouda Springs at the current time, and we talked with Jake there at the beginning. So let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. And once we do, notice how Cameron is starting to come down the turnpike now. Let's go live to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, you've been kind of protecting Wichita in case anything popped up right on top of us. You're in Sedgwick County, so what's the game plan now?
Yeah, I'm dropping south down the turnpike. That storm is easily probably the most impressive storm of the day. Dropping 3.5-inch hail. That's almost as large as softballs. I'm not on the right side of the storm, that's for sure. Coming in on the north, if I core this thing, it could be not an ideal experience. So I will definitely assess a game plan as I get closer to this hail core. But this storm is something we really need to watch. Like you were saying, we are going to get into an environment that's more favorable for tornadoes as we get closer to sunset. Jen?
All right, thanks a lot, Cameron. And what we're also going to be looking at is these other thunderstorms to see if they start to take off. The one that's going to be approaching Rose Hill and kind of close to Douglas. We do have severe thunderstorm warning still for Marion County and for Chase County. Earlier, this is where we had very large hail. I know it's still warned for, almost up to 3-inch hail at this point. Not seeing that now. We'll check in with Brad Ketchum, meteorologist, who's probably coming back down towards Burns in a little bit, get an update from him. So let's go to the Commerce Bank building. We got plenty of sunshine. It is 80 degrees with the winds gusting to 28 miles per hour. And then we go over to Hutch, and you're looking at the backside of the severe thunderstorms that are over in Marion County and Chase County. Yes, you're looking that far away. It is 82 degrees, but notice the winds are out of the northwest. You're getting on the backside of that frontal boundary. In Salina, the severe thunderstorms have pushed off to the east, and we're at 83 degrees. Garden City, a lot of cloud cover. It's currently 76. The winds are gusting to 10 miles per hour. And now we finish up in Goodland. Now, Goodland, we've had some strong wind gusts. It is 63 degrees, and we've been blowing some dust and dirt around. Easily to tell the cold side of the front versus the warm side of the front. And look at the dew points. You go from 64 in Wichita, 63 in El Dorado, down to 52 in Hutch, 46 in McPherson. So as that front moves through and you get behind it, your risk of severe weather is going to go away pretty quickly. Gust to 49 Syracuse, 44 Scott City. I know we've had some reduced visibility and some dust warnings western Kansas. Unfortunately, because of what's going on in South Central, we don't have a lot of time to look at that. But look at all those thunderstorms. Look at the tornado warnings extending all the way up into southern Minnesota. Here's the cooler air that is on the way. So we will get this out of Cake Land probably a little after midnight tonight. And then we're going to talk about Saturday and Sunday, the potential risk of severe weather. We'll talk about that later. We won't deal with that today. Tomorrow, winds are not going to be as gusty as today. Western Kansas only gusting to about 30 miles per hour. Is it going to cool down? You bet. Tomorrow morning, closer to 50. Look at the 30s, including near freezing across northwest Kansas. And then tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be 70s, and Medicine Lodge may get up to about 80 degrees. So the severe risk, basically Hillsboro, Wichita, Wellington, off to the east. Pratt, Medicine Lodge, Hutch, you're done with the severe threat tonight. Tomorrow, enjoy the sunshine. The winds won't be as strong, and the air is going to be cooler too and drier. Saturday, Sunday, both days, potential severe risk. Sunday looking a little more impressive than Saturday now. Unfortunately, it does include a tornado threat. And then a big rain setting up maybe Wednesday night to Thursday. I hope that pans out. We really need a soaker. North Central, storm chances in Dickinson County and moving out. Hayes, Russell, Great Bend. Clearing, no severe risk tonight. Tomorrow, it's sunshine, 76 Hayes and Salina. Looking ahead, concerned about Saturday, but more Sunday for the potential for severe weather. And then a better, more widespread rain chance setting up overnight Wednesday into Thursday. For western Kansas, I know we got some really strong winds now. Those will ease tonight. We will clear down tonight. How about 34 Goodland, 41 in Garden. Tomorrow, it's sunshine, it's less wind. 74 Goodland, 78 Garden, 77 Dodge. Looking ahead, storm chance ramps up again Saturday night to Sunday. Not as much of a severe potential, though. Overnight Wednesday into Thursday, decent rain chance setting up. And across northwest Kansas, there's that storm chance, shower chance, best overnight Saturday into Sunday. That's a good chance of rain. And again, overnight Wednesday night as Cake News continues after the break. Well, we got our first tornado warning issued within Cake Land today. Notice that scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and there's your red polygon. This is for Chase and Marion County until 7:15, and also the potential for some very large hail. Let's go to meteorologist Brad Ketchum. We got his video stream up here, and we're going to take a look because he is in Marion County now, close to that storm. And is Brad on the phone yet? Brad, you with us?
I think Brad's on yellow.
Yeah.
Okay, Brad, what have you got?
Hi, Jay. We're in the town of Florence, and right now we are looking to the south-southeast. And right now in Florence, we're getting dime-sized to nickel-sized hail. And it's quite steady. We just saw the tornado warning issued, and we're looking to the southwest, and we don't see anything at this time.
Okay, and are you, do you think you're going to kind of head towards where the warning is, or what's your plan right now?
Right now, Jay, we're just going to hang tight right here now because we're actually kind of boxed in at the moment by all kinds of cars. We can't get out from underneath an awning at the moment. So we may try to head further to the south and see if we can get south of this storm to get a better look at it here in just a little while. But the hail is pretty steady at the moment, at least a ½ inch to 1 inch hail now in Florence.
All right, thanks a lot, Brad. Let's go back over to Cake's First Alert Doppler. We'll show you why they issued the warning well, it lasted for a couple of sweeps of the radar, but right there, I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter, and I can understand why the Weather Service in Wichita issued this. This is already east of Florence. We're going to go back in time, and little circulation right there is already dissipated, and it is very close. That is the Chase County line. So this is Chase County. That is Marion County. And that area with the suspect circulation is continuing to cross south of Cedar Point. So this is going to be south of US 50 and then head over Chase County, crossing 177 in the general vicinity of Bazaar by the time it gets there. As we slide on down to the south, not really seeing much in the way of thunderstorm development around greater Wichita yet, but that's the front. So until that front actually clears through Wichita, we could have a thunderstorm kind of pop at any time. But what we're continuing to watch now, this thunderstorm not looking nearly as impressive as it did earlier. I'm going to kind of reposition this, and this is where meteorologist Cameron Venables in the process of going down the turnpike. He's going to intercept it. We were concerned about area circulation here. Alicia Short's on that, so is Bryce Kintai. But right now that is... Okay, so can we punch up Bryce? If so, we can take a look at Bryce, because what he's doing is he's getting in position on that storm that is under a severe thunderstorm warning. And earlier, given the environment, we're really concerned. There you go. There's Bryce. He's near Barrel Plain. Really concerned about that one. But as we go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler, it's the one down to the south that definitely more impressive. So let's slide down. This one that's coming out of Oklahoma, we're going to pay very close attention to. Now, Jake Thompson is on the turnpike. He's getting in position on I-35. Keeping an eye near Renfro, because we got a classic, looking in terms of the presentation with the reflectivity here. And we'll go over and take a look at some of the, tell you what, let's take a look at it using Vance. Okay. So let's roll that. So there's the area circulation, and Jake is on top of that one. So we're keeping an eye for the development of tornadoes. I know we're under warning now, but honestly, what's moving into Chase County, that circulation has weakened really dramatically, but we're still seeing some large hail. And talk about some large hail, Colton, we've gotten some pictures now confirming the reports that we've already had.
Yeah, Jay, that's exactly right. We certainly have, and we'll talk about some of those reports kind of as we head into the rest of this evening. And I'll show you what's come in for us here. Has just been some confirmation of those reports. If we can get the photos to load, here we go. So this was KAKE First Alert Storm Tracker Alicia Short. That is a ping pong ball, okay? So this is well above ping pong ball size hail. This is probably beginning to approach 2 inches in diameter. All right, Marion, you were kind of the first hailstorm that we had today. You were the first big hailstorm we had, at least. These from the Marion County Emergency Manager. That's not spherical, but it's over 2 inches in width there. So at the longest diameter, that one is certainly pretty large as well. This is just a handful of probably probably ping pong, maybe up to golf ball size hail. And this one from Hillsboro. So now we're talking closer to south central Kansas, and but generally the most impressive hailstorm of the day so far is one we're still waiting to get some reports in. So this is going to be from the Sumner County, where we had the report of hail over 3 inches in diameter. If you've got a photo of that, feel free to share it with us. We would love to show it on the air. Just text it 757-525-3697. That's the quickest way. Just make sure you give me your name and your location so we can give you credit on the air. Jay?
Now, we still got that tornado warning rolling into Chase County, but that little donut hole and also the reflectivity and the velocity signature is dramatically weakening. So increasing level of confidence that we probably don't have a tornado on the ground at this point. We still have the warning in effect, but this is some very large hail that's already south of Peabody at this point. Hope the Kronberg missed out on the hail on this round. So we're going to continue to keep on this. And because we don't think we have an active tornado in progress, let's get you to the break, and then we'll continue the newscast after that. Chase? Yeah. All right. Chase County tornado warning probably going to be canceled pretty soon. Got the tornado watch until 9 o'clock, and they finally issued a tornado warning down in Oklahoma. So this warning here is probably going to get canceled pretty soon. Honestly, this is the worst looking storm we got anywhere close to KAKE land at this point in time. The National Weather Service down in Oklahoma has now issued a tornado warning for Grant and Kay County until 7:15. Now notice the storm has made a little bit of a right turn. So the past few sweeps, it's more kind of doing east here. So the hail is right along the state line. The question is, will that circulation cross up into KAKE land? But this is the storm of the moment that we're going to be keeping a very close eye on. Matter of fact, let's go over to, I'm going to use the Vance radar, take a look at the base velocity in this one.
And Jake is exiting at Blackwell as we speak, so
okay,
he's going to have advantage.
So let me know as soon as the stream kind of latches onto that. So this is the area of concern that we're looking at. And you can see that area of circulation is getting very organized. And given the state of the atmosphere here, this is where we're going to be most concerned about a tornado developing. And we'll get with Jake there on just a second as he makes that turn. See what he's doing. He's going to move to the west and come back in order to keep an eye on that part. Notice we got three chasers. We got Alicia. Okay, let's go ahead and take Jake's stream at this point.
He's got a live view. Looks like the actively developing tornado.
Yep. There we are. And right now it looks like he's behind the University of Alabama Huntsville that has some of their team down here to sample the atmosphere. So you're looking live near Blackwell, Oklahoma. So this storm is in Oklahoma. Currently, it's moving due east, and that would keep it out of KAKE land, but obviously we're not going to count on that. We're going to let Jake get a little closer. You're watching live the KAKE First Alert storm trackers here in northern Oklahoma during a tornado warning. Looks like we have a developing tornado in progress. Our KAKE First Alert storm tracker, Jake Thompson, is on that one. Clearly, you see the distinct lowering, so, very evident and matching up with what we saw in the radar image at this point. And we'll let him get a little bit closer and see if we can actually get tornado genesis, watch it form right here on KAKE. So we're continuing to watch this. We go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler just for a sec. There it is right there. That's the area of circulation. Notice how we're increasing the velocity, and we're also getting them closer together. So as that tightens up, I'll back out and go back over to his live stream as soon as it clears the trees there. So it looks like he's got a few trees to get past before he gets a little bit closer with that. So since he's driving through the trees, tell you what, let's go back to the radar and give you a little update on this storm to the north. And this is where we have Alicia, Cameron, and Bryce. Boy, earlier, this one was kind of scaring us given the environment, but notice how this has kind of shrunk up here. Let's go over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, you pulled off along the turnpike now, and this storm is just a shell of what it was just a few moments ago.
Oh, yeah. When I left Wichita, it was looking rough, dropping 3.5-inch hail, and then the hail core just fell apart. The storm really just fell apart. It does have some nice structure, though. I mean, you can see the mesocyclone, the rotating updraft. I really didn't even get into much hail. It just kind of fell apart. Occasionally, we're getting really soft hailstones. But, yeah, storm of the moment by far is near Renfro. That thing is definitely trying to tornado. I got to see hints of Jake stream, and yeah, it looks like he's getting really close to tornado genesis. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go play cold front north or go join in on the Kansas-Oklahoma line. Kind of undecided.
Yeah, let us know what you're going to decide on that. Let's go back to the radar, because here is Cameron's dilemma. See that line right there, Cheney, Andale, just to the west of Sedgwick? That's the boundary. Wichita is still in play in terms of could we see severe thunderstorms pop right on top of us. So we're not done with the severe weather threat within the city of Wichita. We got the storms down to the south. We have nothing happening right now, but then you look up to the north here, and it will pan up to the north. You get back into that tornado warning for Chase County. The Weather Service in Wichita is saying they're probably going to let that one go early. That circulation has gone, but this is a very large hail core from Elbing all the way to north of Burns. Now, the southern end of this will bear watching, because what we call the tail end of the line is in an environment where we could produce a tornado. So anywhere around between Newton and Elbing over towards Whitewater, that's a part of the storm we're going to watch too. Let's go back over to Jake's stream. Obviously, you got a very well-defined lowering here. Got to admit, no tornado, at least evident at this point.
If it's there, he's going to see it.
Absolutely. He is perfectly positioned to get that one. And you can tell he continues to move. He's over near Nardin, Oklahoma at this point, and continues tracking closer to that storm. So the tornado warning's in effect for Chase County. We have very low confidence that anything is actually happening in terms of a tornado with that storm. And I'm going to go check it with velocity just to kind of make sure here. We're going to put this in motion over the past 30 minutes. And yeah, I'm not seeing anything in terms of a circulation. So we'll check back in with Jake just a second. Go ahead and pop radar back up behind me here. What was left of that? You're going to track it when they issued the warning right there was a circulation. That is gone.
And that warning cancellation has just come in, Jay.
Okay, there you go. The red poly just disappeared off the screen. So
one thing I do want to note on that storm, though, just for a moment here, is that it's still, even though it's a thunderstorm that's in a line, it's still a very, very prolific hail producer. And that's where, unfortunately, Brad Ketchum has been stuck for quite some time now. And let's jump over here to Brad if we can, and I'll show you. He's been stuck underneath this awning for quite some time at this point, and he's not necessarily in the thick of the hail core right now, but currently, if you notice, there's almost 3 different distinct hail cores that have developed here. And so, these at times, obviously, whenever you get a hail core, it's only a very isolated event to get the hail that's upwards of tennis, even to baseball size. But at this point, there are several of these hail cores that Jay at times can eventually end up producing. We're talking here in far southern parts of Marion County that could be producing upwards of golf ball size hail.
And that's what we're worried about. We got the tornado threat, we got the very large hail, and also the damaging wind threat. Earlier, there was an estimated 70-mile-per-hour wind gust in Dickinson County from those thunderstorms that are now out of KAKE land. So we're now back here. northern Oklahoma. Look at that hook just continue to build. There is Jake. Let's take a stream live once again. Distinct lowering. I got to admit, based
Pretty
on
close to being able to head back west.
All right, and
that may be Brad.
I think that was Brad we heard. So Jake is. I got to admit, look at that lowering. Based on that, that radar signature, the reflectivity signature. This is a very classic supercell. We're going to be, not surprised that this is going to produce a tornado really about any time.
So, Jay, real quick, one thing to address. We're getting a lot of reports coming in of several different land spouts that have been reported. Want to kind of address that. The Weather Service is definitely understanding what is the difference in these. I'll show a picture here in just a moment. We just have had several reports from one near Newton. I'll show a picture here in just a moment. These are not tornadoes, and the Weather Service is not treating them as tornadoes. So, yes, they look really frightening, and they certainly have the same appearance as a tornado. They're not as strong, so that's good news. They're also not going to be as long-lived. They don't come from a supercell in the same way that a tornado does. So I'll show that in just a moment, but certainly kind of adding some complexity into the mix today. But to just kind of want to let folks know, especially if you're in the Newton, the Harvey County area, if you're seeing that, it pays to just go ahead and take your tornado precautions. It can't hurt, right? But with all that being said, just if you're wondering why we're not under tornado warning, that's going to be the reason why.
Yeah, and it's very simple. You don't want to confuse people between what's developing here and these very weak, brief things that do very limited damage in most cases. Most cases, they do very limited damage, if any at all. And look at that. The velocity is tightening up. Let's go back to Jake, because I got a feeling we're going to be catching tornado genesis here pretty darn soon as he gets closer to that. The only good thing at this point in time in terms of KAKE land is that the movement currently is tracking almost due east.
Yep.
Only very slightly north of due east. But if I lived in South Haven, Honeywell, over towards Arkansas City, this is a storm you've got to keep your eye on. And we will do that for you, because you're not going to be able to see the tornado coming. You're going to be on the rain side of the storm. You got to look through the rain. You got to look through the hail shaft. You're not going to do that. So you'll have no visibility on that. But here we are live in northern Oklahoma. Jake Thompson, tornado warning in effect. I got to admit, based on the radar signatures we've seen, I'm surprised we have not had a tornado at this point. And I keep looking at the ground to look for any kind of debris getting kicked up, too.
Yeah, I mean, certainly with how dry it is, I would think we would see at least a dust cloud. It certainly can be on the ground, even if the condensate doesn't make it all the way there, especially with it being this far away from the parent supercell. But, yeah, I would agree, Jay. I mean, it's still pretty well off the ground. The velocity signature is really impressive.
Absolutely, and you can see, just passing all the
they're in the right spot.
Everybody, was on the right spot for this. We knew that this was probably going to happen today, and that velocity just continues to really wrap on up. I'm going to go back over to KAKE's first alert and show you that velocity signature as that continues to wrap up right there. You're going to watch that as it moves almost, again, it's not exactly due east, but over towards Bremen. This is your first alert that's going to be heading your way. So if you got some friends, down around Bremen, I'd pick up the cell phone, give them a call and say, hey, this thunderstorm deserves your attention, because with that kind of velocity signature and given the environment it's moving into, I'd be very concerned about a significant tornado not only developing, but once it forms, lasting for quite a while, as that will move to the east. And it's going to be very close. Okay, let's get back over to Jake's stream now. Okay, he has stopped, and we're just looking at the rotation around the stream. Look at the tags disappear around the back, come around the other side. So this is incredibly well developed. And like you said, there is the potential that there's actually a tornado out there, but I think we would see enough of something getting kicked up here.
I agree.
There we go. I think we're starting to see it tighten and lower now.
Yeah, if you watch the right side there, especially, there's a lot of motion.
Yeah,
and on video, the motion never looks as good on video as it does in person, but I can tell you. So that's how you know. If you see motion on video, you know that it's really, really active.
Tell you what, can we try to get Jake back on the horn here?
Yeah, let's do it.
And we'll talk to him. But this continues to develop, and the velocity signatures are only increasing at this point. So tornado warning for Chase County, just to remind you, was canceled early. There's very large hail moving through Marion County, and there's a new tornado warning that has just been issued. And is that for the same storm? Okay, Chase, Marion, Butler, Harvey. So I guess they're going to go ahead and start issuing some warnings for the leading edge stuff now.
So, and here's why, and here's what I wanted to show just a moment ago. If this photo is ready, let me see if it's ready here. All right, so this is a photo of what that land spout looked like. and I'm guessing maybe the tune has changed, and I'll show you why. Okay, this is not a textbook tornado. Just take us at our word here, but look at the velocity signature. So here's the leading edge of the line, right? This is a line of thunderstorms. We're talking right here on the tail end. You can almost see the hook there. Watch the velocity signature here, though. You can tell this land spout still has not lifted. We're talking from Newton off to the south and east, moving towards McLean's. There it is right there. See the velocity signature. And if you notice, this does not look the same as maybe a normal, say, tornado would. But I still have every reason to believe that this is still kind of persisting here and on the ground.
Yeah, and
so,
you got more video headed your way east of Newton.
Yeah.
Chris Hunter also sent some video coming in, and so we'll take a look. And again, where you got the velocity, you know, right, you can see it there just to the southeast of Newton.
you could, I mean,
right there.
You can make it out exact. I'm going to measure here. From Newton proper, we're talking 4 miles to the south and to the east. Did you send that to me, Deb? Okay. Okay, thank you. Jay, if you want to take Jake one more time while I turn that around, because his stream is certainly becoming more interesting literally by the second.
Exactly. We're going to watch this develop here. So keep in mind that we got two different animals going on. What is happening in Oklahoma has the potential to be a very significant higher end tornado, whereas what we're seeing around Newton and Peabody right now, these are weaker. I'm not saying we're going to blow them off, but I'm saying that we got two different kind of things going on here at the same time. What you're watching in Oklahoma is a very classic supercell, the potential for a very higher end tornado. And then I think we got, looks like we've got debris kicking up now, so we're pretty much got a tornado on the ground, and we're starting to tighten that up. So here we are, tornado now in Oklahoma for the tornado warning that is in effect. And then we also have the other tornado warning that's in effect for parts of Harvey County, also for northern Butler, for southern Chase, and for extreme southern Marion County, and that is until 7:30. And that's based on the fact that we are getting leading edge tornadoes on that line of thunderstorms.
I'm going to say something too here, Jay, with this tornado could not be in a better environment. There's not going to be much stopping this. I mean, I think we could be moments away from almost most of what that base that is on the low side there coming down.
Exactly, and this is what we've been talking about is we're not trying to shortchange you on what's going on in KAKE land also, but this has the potential to be an incredibly impactful tornado, and that's going to track over towards Bremen. So this is your heads up as far as Bremen. We're only talking on the circulation's about 8 miles away, and it's moving not due east, but pretty darn close. Just a quick check of the velocity here real quick before we get you back to that video. There it is right there. So there's that area of circulation. There's Bremen 8 miles away. Let's go back live to the video again. We're going to watch that continue to tighten up. And we do appreciate y'all sending the videos to us of what's going on, Chris, over near Newton. And you can make out that there are some, areas of circulation along that leading edge that will develop. There you go. Dust clouds kicking up now.
Yeah, this is probably not going to be the last land spout of the day.
No. We're going to see more on that. But what is unfolding before your eyes now is going to be, this is going to develop into something pretty darn significant, most likely. In the meantime, while we're checking that out, let's see what Bryce, what are the plans? Let's see what Bryce and them are going to do in terms of, we're going to send anybody north on that, or, because we've got Jake well positioned for this one. Cameron and Bryce are essentially on the same thing. Alicia and Gene, because Gene's in a good position to drop south to, along with Jake. So they got the Oklahoma cell covered at this point. Both Cameron and Bryce are on the other storm that is moving out of Sumner into northwestern Cali. Not going to completely dismiss that one because that could get over by itself and into an environment where that could strengthen also. So let me go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. We'll just be back to this in a second. What's right now here from between Udall, this is south of Mulvane. As this gets farther away from the storms out of the south, this could get in a better environment for redevelopment. We got Cameron and Bryce both on that one. Let's get back live to the video again.
And Jake needs to pan a little bit to the right because the parent circulation actually looks to be a little out ahead of that wall cloud. That wall cloud is rotating hard. Jay, if you have a second here, I'm going to talk about what's happening out around the Newton area, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
This is the video now of that same spout. And again, Can these be dangerous? Can these do damage? Most certainly they can. Absolutely. I mean, that is certainly a threatening phenomenon that we need to be watching for. It's not a large, massive wedge tornado. As Jay was mentioning, this may look more threatening than what we're seeing in northern Oklahoma, but what's happening in northern Oklahoma is a world different than what's happening right here. So that's still leading to a large tornado warning now along the leading edge of the line here. The Weather Service is kind of giving the heads up that, hey, these are probably going to be popping up along the line, particularly here towards the west edge. So if you're talking about far southeastern Harvey County, that's where you need to be watching for, and then eventually back into northern and northwestern Butler County. Would not be surprised to see that. Okay, Jake just repositioned, Jay, and looks like maybe the parent circulation, it's hard to tell sometimes if it's still down or not. Obviously, the whole wall cloud there continues to rotate. This is a really, really healthy mesocyclone. So whether or not that's actually actively bringing a tornado in or out, and Jay, we're going to have Jake Thompson here in just a second live on the air if you want to try to get with him.
All right, Jake, you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, looks like we've already had probably one touchdown at this point. What are you seeing now?
Right now, the storm looks to be cycling. I have a massive rotating wall cloud just to my north. It's looking a little more disorganized now than it did maybe about 10, 20 minutes ago. I need to reposition here east a little bit to stay ahead of it, but right now it still has a really strong rotating wall cloud, so it might not be done yet.
Okay, all right, Jake, reposition, do what you need to do. Let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler while he kind of gets repositioned, because I want to show you what's happening. Notice other thunderstorms popping up near Medford are starting to approach the area that we probably had at least one little tornado develop out of. That is potentially going to disrupt some of the circulation here, so that may interfere with its reorganization. Let me go over and take a look at, tell you what, let me use the advanced radar, go over and take a look at base velocity here. And it's still spinning like a top, but notice how the highest velocities, they've come apart a little bit. Think about watching a skater. When they spin, arms come in, speed goes up, arms go out, speed slows down. So this is what you got going on here. The fact that the highest velocity is a little farther apart, it's not spinning quite as fast, and that was reflected what you saw live in Jake's stream. So Colton, I want you to talk with Bryce and Cameron and figure out who we're going to try to get over into the stuff that's in, over in Harvey County with Newton, because we got to play the tail end of that. So let me go over here and show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to slide up to the north, and we're going to get you into the tornado warnings that, thanks to Chris Hunter for giving us that video. But we're going to go over and take a look at some of the velocity data here using Wichita. And we're going to go put it in motion over the past 30 minutes. And that what we saw from Chris Hunter, what he sent us right there, is where it kind of spiked up briefly. It's between Newton and Whitewater, that area of circulation. This one's moving to the southeast, and it's on the leading edge of this. Different storm motions. What's in Oklahoma is moving almost due east. These circulations are moving towards the southeast. So between Newton and Whitewater, right there, you can tell where it spiked, and that's about the time Chris sent us the video. And now it's weakened a little bit as that heads over towards Whitewater. And honestly, we were looking all along the line here, and these little spin-up leading-edge tornadoes are going to be possible, along with some very large hail. I'm going to go back over to the reflectivity. What we call is the tail end. Anytime we got a line like this, we got to keep an eye on the tail end, because that southern flank down here is still exposed to that environment where it could produce the more significant tornadoes. So these will be the smaller tornadoes. We already had a report. Burns Fire Department said they saw one on the leading edge here. And so this is large hail, the potential for these leading edge, weaker, briefer tornadoes, but we're still going to be watching between Newton and Elbing down to Whitewater for the potential for a more significant tornado. Notice that line continues to develop back towards the southwest. So other thunderstorms potentially could fire up south of Newton, potentially as far southwest as the city of Sedgwick, and then getting over towards Furley. Don't know if it'll pop all the way back over towards Valley Center, but Wichita, we're still kind of in the zone where something can happen right on top of us until that boundary, until that front finally clears on out. Once we get past sunset, that's finally going to get that push off to the east, but we're still kind of sitting in the zone here. We're worrying about what's going on. All right, Colton, have you got an update as far as who's going where?
Yeah, I think Brad's going to try to get through the line here, trying to keep up. The hail core is still really impressive, even though this is still very much a linear thunderstorm. So he's going to work on getting through there, I believe, and try to begin trying to get back into position on the leading edge of this. I'm still seeing videos. We're getting reports, even in places like Valley Center, which is way out away from the thunderstorms. And the reason I mention that is here's Valley Center there. The thunderstorms are a good 15, 20 miles to your northeast. So part of the reason to say that is to show you that these are, again, are they threatening? Can they produce wind gusts that can take down tree limbs and things like that? Absolutely. It's very different than what we're seeing in parts of northern Oklahoma. So on any other day, we would be concerned about what the landspouts are doing. But Jay, today is one of those days where you'd rather have a landspout than what you're seeing in northern Oklahoma. Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's kind of a different thing going on here. The only kind of good news is the fact that we continue to see increased development now to the northeast of Medford that could potentially interfere with this area of circulation. I'm going to go back and query the velocity data again, both from Wichita and also from the Vance Air Force Base radar, because Vance is actually a little closer. So we're looking higher up in the thunderstorm from Wichita, and there's your area of circulation again. It's not really, okay, right there. We'll see if that's maybe getting reorganized again. Let's look at it from Vance, which is going to be closer to the ground here. So let's go over the base velocity, and we'll roll that forward. And there's that area of circulation right there, the strongest part. Let's go back live to Jake. Has Jake repositioned himself yet? Okay, looks like he's still trying to get repositioned back into the storm. But it looks like it is reorganizing at this point. So we'll go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. But that's the area of circulation. Now notice, because this is getting a little more disorganized, the Weather Service in Wichita has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Sumner County. They did not issue a tornado warning. Trust me, they're very aware of what's going on here, but they've got enough confidence that the fact that it's moving more east than northeast and is currently kind of getting reorganized that they went ahead and issued a severe thunderstorm warning for South Haven, for Honeywell, over towards Gouda Springs and down to the south for the potential for the hail, the heavy rain and the wind, and not for the tornado risk, at least at this point. Up to the north here, tell you what, let's go back and so Cameron and Bryce are on that storm moving there. It looks like Cameron, let's get an update from Cameron, figure out where he's headed to. It looks like he's still on the turnpike. Cameron, why don't you give us an update on your position now and what's going on?
I'm just taking a look at this storm that's off to the east of Belle Plaine. You can clearly see that beautiful storm structure. You have the bell, kind of the bell-shaped updraft, and you kind of have an area of lowering. It's not all that impressive on radar, but needless to say, you know, this storm's trying to do something. I'm torn what to do. I mean, do you want me to go up north? I mean, there's a chance that storms could fire all the way down that cold front. I think we all know that's in the realm of possibility. And that's true. And Cameron, and here's, I get it. Here's the deal. We got Jake pretty much on that one there. So if you feel you need to backpedal off this to get in position for Wichita again, go for it. Do what you got to do there. All right, thanks. Let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler at this point. Very large hail. Remember, we have a history of producing ping pong ball and larger than ping pong ball, and that's what we got going on here east of Newton, rolling towards Elbing, getting into northern parts of Butler County, rolling out of Marion County, but anywhere from Elbing over towards Burns, some very large hail, even into Chase County. But maybe not go all the way over towards Bizarre, but it may get as far east as Bizarre with this one. And this is all tracking to the southeast. So heads up, Whitewater, Potwin, and eventually to Graff. We'll see if this makes it all the way down towards El Dorado at this point. We're going to be watching very closely around Whitewater to see if we get the circulation redeveloping once again. So let me go back over to Wichita. We're going to take a look at that base velocity. We're going to roll it over the past 30 minutes. Yeah, that area of circulation between Newton and Whitewater peaked right there. It is weaker than it was with this. So we're looking pretty good at the moment. And Brad's still in the process of trying to get through that line, isn't he? He's still kind of fighting on that.
The hail core, I mean, there are certainly different individual hail cores here. I mean, I can show what that looks like here. It's just the problem is that the hail cores, I mean, they are really, really intense. I mean, you're talking about the radar here, like on the northwest side of Elbing, kind of throwing up hail upwards of 2 to 2.5 inches at this point. So if Brad were to drop straight south, he would probably total his vehicle. So obviously don't want to do that. So with that being said, you know, normally we talk about hail sizes like this being possible in these supercell thunderstorms. I mean, this is the case here where we're talking about that being possible from a very linear type of thunderstorm. So yeah, if you can't tell, there's a lot going on in the atmosphere today. I guess if we wanted to try to take an opportunity here to talk about the hail to some degree here, we're talking about the eastern sides at this point of Harvey County, back into southwestern Marion, right here into Butler County. So kind of the triple point here where you've got Harvey, Marion, and Butler. That would be right now, right at this moment, where the largest hail in all of KAKE land would be. And obviously you kind of continue to move up into parts of Marion and over into Chase County, and we still have a couple other cores, but this one is quickly becoming the dominant core. That's important for a couple reasons, because number one, well, first of all, you need to know where the largest hail is. We're talking here out to the north of Whitewater, again, right near Elbing. If you live in Elbing or you know somebody in Elbing, you're talking about a very, very devastating hailstorm here, 6 or 7 miles to the north of Whitewater. But generally, the other point to that is that means that this thunderstorm is continuing to gain strength here and increase in intensity, which means that if it's still putting down landspouts, they're going to be more and more severe, or stronger, I guess I should say. So even though that's a tornado warning, not for a traditional supercell tornado, it's still one where it's worth taking your precautions at this point. Jay?
Yeah, the monster hail too. So let's get you back down here, get a little reorganization going, and that was reflected in the velocity. Alicia's not going to be able to see it. Plus, there's no way she's going to go through that hail core. Is Jake? No, Jake's not back in a position yet either. And also we got Gene Thiessen, who is downstream, ready to pick that up also. I do want to go over to the velocity.
And while you do that, yeah. I think Jake is still called in. So Jake, if you can hear me, we need you to reset your stream here because we're losing. I know you're in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, but go ahead and give us a reset if you can so we can get back to your picture.
All right, so I got the velocity pulled up here.
If I interrupt, I have a developing cone tornado in progress. It's going to be northwest of Blackwell. I have a developing cone tornado in progress. I'm trying to get the stream up. I'm having issues with Starlink.
Okay, all right. Good work, Jake. Thank you for that report.
A fully condensed cone tornado in progress.
Okay, all
right, excellent. And so keep us updated on that. And this is what he's talking about. That's the area of, that's the velocity area that I was concerned about. The fact that it is reorganizing. So again, Jake Thompson now confirming we do have a tornado on the ground, and this is to the west of Bremen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter so you can kind of see that area of velocity. Currently staying out of KAKE land at this point, but there's your area of circulation. In terms of its distance to I-35, it's only 4 miles away. So it's going to be crossing I-35 very close to Bremen. Again, if you got friends down there, pick up your cell phone, give them a yell, let them know, take those tornado precautions that we have a tornado in progress. And as soon as, okay, it looks like Jake's stream is back up. Oh, that's not? Okay, sorry. Never mind, my bad. And Alicia's on the north side of that, but she'd have to go through a hail course. She's not going to see that also. The only good news in terms of KAKE land is the fact that it is tracking still just slightly north of due east. So this is going to keep it still out of Sumner County, and maybe it would cross into parts of southern Cali at this point in time. Something would have to radically change for that track to change. So if you live in Honeywell, as far as the tornado threat, that's going to pass you to the south. Now, don't keep in mind that you're still going to have to deal with the very large hail, and we still got the largest hail going on in KAKE land over to the north. So let's zoom back down to the south here.
We have Jake.
Okay, we got Jake back up now. Let's go to Jake. I will step out of the way. So Jake, well,
my apologies. My bad.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we got you again. Do you still have the tornado on the ground?
I do. It was fully condensed for me about 5-10 seconds. It is reorganizing again. I have a funnel, a cone funnel, 3/4 of the way ground, 3/4 of the way to the ground. Like I said, I'm northwest of Blackwell, and I just have a cone tornado forming right in front of me and some windmills. It's not fully condensed, but it's very close to being fully condensed again if you see my stream.
We do, Jake. We got it on stream now.
And it looks to me like that storm it's getting ready to get some interaction. If you notice with Jake's stream there that the picture is a little more muddy, if you will. There's more rain involved. And when we go back to KAKE First Alert Doppler, you'll see why. There's another little thunderstorm. Yeah, I can take the lead here. I'll show this. There's another little thunderstorm coming up from the south and from the west. Here's the circulation. There's the hook, right? Watching the thunderstorm move to the north and the east. That's getting ready to run in.
Tornadoes on the ground.
Let's let's go back to say that again, Jake.
He's got two tornadoes in progress.
I have two tornadoes on the ground. I have a fully condensed stovepipe tornado in progress, and I have a rogue tornado circling around. I have two tornadoes on the ground at the same time.
Yeah, so this is certainly a really, really impressive situation. You know, obviously, like I said, this is getting ready to become rain wrapped. So as Jay just mentioned, I mean, friends or family in Bremen need to be ready. You know, this is still well south, and by well, we mean at least 10 to 12 to 15 miles south of the state line. If it takes a left turn, well, first of all, we're going to be concerned about hail potential, but that generally would not promote a good, healthy environment for the tornado, I guess I should say. But for the time being, this thing needs to be watched really, really closely. If you live on or near the state line, you need to keep this thing really, really high on your radar, Jay.
And one thing that you pointed out. Yeah, go ahead.
This is turning into a very large stovepipe tornado. I'm going north a little bit to get a closer view for you guys, but this is turning into a very large tornado.
Okay, and well, looks like you're in a bad cover. Okay, we've got you now. Go back to Jake. We see the parent and we see the satellite tornado. So this is the main cone tornado, and there's the satellite that's going around it. Go ahead, Jake.
I'm approximately 1 mile south of this tornado. It's a very, very large cone tornado. I don't see any debris being lofted right now, but this is growing in size by every second.
All right, Jake, you're doing a great job. Just stay on it. Now, it's going to be pretty soon. We got that thunderstorm approaching from the southwest. That is going to be overtaking that. I don't know how it's going to disrupt that circulation, because you have an extremely well-defined cone there, big cone tornado in progress. Velocity data, you know, confirming what you're seeing. The Weather Service in Oklahoma issuing a brand new tornado warning, again extending for that. And yeah, Jake, you are perfectly positioned to show us that live. Just a quick dip out and show you the radar. This is what Jake's showing right there. That's the tornado. Okay, let's go back live to Jake.
Yeah, Jay, this is a multi-vortex type tornado. There's multiple vortices on the ground. I'm watching them dance right now in these windmill farm. It'll be really interesting to see if any of these windmills take any damage, but this tornado has multiple vortices on the ground. It's not fully condensed anymore, but this is still a very large tornado.
All right, Jake.
North by maybe a mile, maybe two at most.
Okay, your stream got interrupted. That's why we're back on the radar here. This is only about 2 miles or less from crossing I-35 in the vicinity of Bremen, just to the south of Bremen. Again, Jake is right on top of it. It's going to continue to give us the live phone reports, and Gene's downstream to pick it up if Jake isn't able to stay with it the whole time. And you will notice Alicia Short's right at the state line. Keep an eye on that. Probably got a hail course you don't want to go through on that one. And yeah, this just continues to, I mean, the velocity data is getting stronger on that one too, outbound. At some point, we think there's probably going to be some kind of interaction with this storm coming up from the south. You would think that there's enough going to be disruption as this comes out to kind of disrupt this circulation, but it is just keep on going at this point, and it continues pretty much due east or just slightly north of east. So Bremen on down towards Dilworth, and southern Sumter County doesn't need to worry about the tornado threat. Southern Cowley County, I would keep an eye on this one to see if it's a change course at this point. We've got Alicia on the north side of it. We got Jake perfectly positioned. We got Gene set up, and even Bryce. So we've got 4 first alert storm trackers just all over this one at this point. Colton, has there been any update on what we did with the smaller tornadoes across parts of Harvey County into northern Butler with that? Because we still have the tornado warnings in effect for those counties too. Yeah,
we do, and you know, we're still seeing intermittent reports here and there. It's hard to know if these are current or these are coming in maybe a little bit delayed. I mean, here's the deal, right? We're looking at the velocity here. You could probably make an argument that at every single one of these points where you notice it kind of pincers in here and we have a touch, that there's at least a attempt at a land spout development. Okay, so I would not be surprised if there's a lot of these ongoing or kind of soon to be underway. So with that all being said, that tornado warning, that's going to be set to expire here. We'll take a look at it here in just a moment. Here at 7:30, Weather Service is probably going to let that ride, but here's the thing. We could be seeing land spouts down into northern and back into south and western parts of Sedgwick County at this point in those areas. Those are not under tornado warning. So with all that being said, if you see one of those, again, it always pays. It never hurts to go ahead and take your tornado precautions. Just know that for the moment, the storms on the northern side, currently there's no indications that there's an actively developing tornado. Anything would be kind of the land spout variety, Jay.
Tell you what, the velocities unfortunately are getting more intense with the storm down in Oklahoma. Here we go over the past 30 minutes. Now we're using the radar over at the Vance Air Force Base. This is only getting stronger. Jake, have you still got eyes on it? We don't have the video.
Jay, this is a strong tornado. It just condensed again. Extreme motion at the base right now. It's a large cone to stovepipe. It just organized again after having a multi-vortex at the surface, but it's a very strong vortex at the base right now.
All right, Jake.
It's fully condensed as well.
Jake, if you have a brief minute, give your stream a reset.
Yep, you're going to be our eyes. We've lost your stream now, but it's okay. Just trust me, based on the velocity signatures, this one is absolutely screaming at us today. This is the strongest velocity we have seen on anything today. It continues to move over towards I-35. Got to admit, with that other storm coming up back behind it, I'm very impressed that this has actually continued to intensify at this point, that there hadn't been enough interaction to kind of disrupt this. But now that we have it, given the environment we're in, it's just going to keep chugging here. So if you know anybody along 35 around Bremen, they need to exercise the tornado precautions immediately. This is a significant tornado that is in progress and will continue moving just a little north of due east. So right now, Cake Land, you're kind of, we're going to watch it for you, Cowley County. Southern Sumner feeling good that this is not going to impact you at this point in time. We're still, Jake's on top of it for us. And so while Jake's on top of that, Colton, I want to go back to you and keep an eye on the other tornado warnings going on in Cake Land.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, and still trying to watch for, we're going to have Brad Ketchum. He's going to be back in position here before we know it. In fact, let me take a look and see if his stream looks any decent at this point. So we'll be watching for that here over the next little while. He's kind of, if you'll see where he's at, he's jumped back on Interstate 135. He's going to round the corner here, and then I think be back in position to look for these. If you notice, the Weather Service just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. My hunch is going to be that that's going to be for some pretty large hail, because at this point, look at that hail core. So remember, just a little while ago, some of the first hailstorms of the day we were talking about in Marion. Well, here we are now south of Peabody, and I've seen lots of reports coming in of some pretty large hail from Peabody. That is not just a hail core with a large hail right at the center. This is a pretty wide-ranging hail core. We're probably talking about, at this point, 4 or 5 miles by 2 or 3 miles of, at the very least, $quarter to $half size hail, and then you get in there into the middle, and that's where you're talking about hail that could be upwards of golf to maybe up to tennis ball size. So for now, that's kind of the big hail producer here. It's amazing, Jay, that a storm that looks like that is producing larger hail than the supercell into northern Oklahoma. And that can do just as much, if not more, property damage whenever it comes to hail damage than sometimes even a tornado-producing thunderstorm can do.
That's true. And I know we haven't seen anything in the city of Wichita. We are still in the zone where a storm could pop on top of us or move in very quickly. We have not gotten on the other side of the front. We're thinking, my goodness.
Yeah, this is...
Colton? Okay, this is a very high-end event going on now. Okay, based on these kind of velocity signatures, this is a very significant, if not violent, tornado in progress here in northern Oklahoma that's about to cross I-35.
PDS tornado warning, by the way.
Okay,
first
no
of the
surprise.
year in this region of the
Absolutely.
country.
So, Jake, what have you got with your eyes, bud?
Yeah, right now the tornadoes have become more rain wrapped. I could barely see it. I'm gonna have to get east, but it's definitely through the rain I can see a large cone still in progress. But it's getting so wrapped in rain from the rear fling down that I need to get east here, and then hopefully I'll get a better visual for you guys again.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate you being on top of that. Again, the radar signatures have only gotten worse with this. Okay. This continues to look increasingly scary and violent. So anybody around Bremen, along I-35, over towards, you've got to be taking those tornado precautions. Now, for Cake Land, this is moving slightly north of due east. And that's going to keep it out of Sumner County.
New tornado warning is coming for Harvey and Sedgwick counties for the Landspout tornado threat. So Weather Service is actively saying, even though we understand that these are not supercell tornadoes, you're going to need to take your tornado precautions. That's going to be probably for most of Sedgwick County. That would be my guess at this point.
Okay, so as soon as those come out, we're going to get back over to you, and you update us with the radar there. Have we gotten Brad, as far as Brad's stream?
He's still rounding the corner of the tail end there. So.
All right, and let's go back over to, I tell you what, can we punch up? Yeah, Alicia. Let's go over to Alicia's stream. She is on the north side of all of this. See, she's in K County, just barely across the line over near Honeywell. So she's on the northern edge of that storm. The reason she's not going to bust any move any farther south is she would get into the hail core and that storm. and you're not going to be able to see what's going on before you blunder into that circulation. So we got Alicia on the northern end of that thunderstorm that is producing a significant tornado that is in progress here in Oklahoma. This is the as far as the season goes, of anything that we have witnessed here in the KAKE First Alert Weather Center, this is the strongest one of the season we've had so far. By
it's not
far.
particularly close.
No, I mean, this is yeah, way down the road here. And one thing we're going to look at is, this is getting kind of far from Vance, but okay. Let me go back and take a look at the Doppler radar here. We're going to use what we call the correlation coefficient. It looks for debris. I'm going to loop this over the past 30 minutes, and it's getting farther away, but I want you to see the debris indication right there that popped up just to the west of 35, right there.
That's what prompted the PDS warning, by the way.
Got it.
Just FYI.
I got to admit, I'm surprised I'm not seeing that at the current time. Let's go back over to the velocity mode of the radar. Looking at base velocity again, and this is still extremely scary and impressive right here, unfortunately. And that will continue tracking over towards I-35. It's going to cross 35, folks. So if you know people that are traveling in Oklahoma on 35, they need to avoid this at all costs. I guess that new tornado warning hadn't quite come out yet.
No, it hasn't, and I'm gathering a couple photos from some that are actively ongoing around the metro area just to show folks, again, what we're trying to do is kind of get the message out here. These are a little different, so I'll have those in just a moment. We're kind of nearing in on that. It's pretty similar to what we saw in Newton just a little while ago. So, yeah, we're just turning those here in just a second. We'll be in, we'll definitely be in good shape to talk about that. But yeah, the new warning, I've not seen that come through yet. But
I'm kind of getting reset over here.
But yeah, no, I got you. Let me bounce off of this, and let's real quickly, we'll go back to talking about the hail situation at the very least, and then we'll get to the land spouts. So still rotation ongoing with these storms, but part of that has been the really impressive hail cores that we have seen. And I'll tell you what, if I'm going to do this, let's go live to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cam, it looks to me like you're coming back into the south side there. You're looking off to the north. I see there on the line, on the leading edge of the line, maybe almost tags or scud forming there. You see anything that's particularly low? Because we could be in a situation here. We have land spouts forming out and potentially even away from the thunderstorm. At the same time, maybe the thunderstorm could, in theory, produce a tornado.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a land spout is, a tornado that develops underneath the developing updraft, so underneath the flanking line. And yes, we did have a spout a little bit ago. I still had the condensation tube, a little bit dust tube. It's gone at the moment, but getting more spouts is definitely a possibility. So you'll notice how you have that kind of line of storms. That's what we call the flanking line on a supercell. So we have more storms developing on the southwest flank. Those could mature and become a problem. So I'm going to go investigate as the cold front gets closer. We'll see if we continue to get these little spin-ups or land spouts. So I did see one visually. I caught the tail end of it. I didn't see it like what the one was in Newton. But needless to say, the environment is favorable for little spin-ups, little spouts. They are technically tornadoes. They are just not associated with a supercell or mesocyclone, a rotating updraft.
All right, thanks a lot, Cameron. Well, I'll go ahead and pick it up here. Let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler and get you into the storm of the moment. Still got that, classic hook right there. Alicia has slid across the line, but I got to admit, her visibility is going to be awfully poor. Jake, update from you. I got to admit, it looks like you're kind of getting overtaken by the storm behind. How's your visibility? What have you got, Jake?
Yeah, right now I'm trying to head east and get a better visual of this tornado still on the ground. The rear flank downdraft wrapped around the tornado with a bunch of rain and likely hail and obscured my vision. Otherwise, I'm trying to get east into a better position to see the tornado still on the ground over by north of Blackwell.
Okay, all right. So obviously Jake is repositioning. He is on the move. You're looking live at his stream. Put me back up here with KAKE's First Alert Doppler. And I'll tell you what, can we pull up, let's see if Eugene or Bryce is getting close to that one. Because here's the circulation. Notice it's crossing 35 as we speak. And again, it's moving not due east, but a little north of due east. Okay, there are the new tornado warnings coming out for Sedgwick, Butler, Harvey, and Chase. Colton, you want to pick those up?
Yeah, let's talk about those. And I'm just now right to the point here where we're talking about the the photos coming in. We'll look at those here in just a moment because I kind of want to show the difference here of what we're seeing. So that's your new tornado warning. So that is going to include a pretty good chunk here of Sedgwick County. We're talking about from the east sides of Andale running not into downtown Wichita. Okay, this is right along and south of K96. Some of what is south of K96 from it looks like Jabera back over to the north sides of downtown over into the Andale. We'll see if the Mays area is included and off to the north and to the east.
We're now getting reports from Sedgwick County Emergency Management of, quote, land spouts in northern Sedgwick County.
So yeah, so let me see if these photos are rendered out yet where we need them to be, but I will show you. We have photos of those. So this is from 61st and Hydraulic, and you may have to squint there. That one is not very visible there. This one from Cody Sharvett, though, so sorry, apologies. He's the Sedgwick County EM, not the Marion County EM. But with that being said, this is from Valley Center. Okay, so now we're talking about areas in and around the Wichita metro area where we have these land spouts that are forming. As Cameron mentioned, these are a type of tornado. They're not generally one that's going to wipe your house off its foundation. So again, not that we're downplaying.
Reports a few minutes ago, Park City, another land spout, also land spouts around Augusta. So we are starting to have, again, and we talked about this several times. These are going to be the lower end thing. We still got this ongoing here. If you need to rack up some more photos, let me go over to the velocity and kind of give you an update on what's going on. What about, is Gene or Bryce, one of them got their stream out? Let me get the little velocity data here first before we hand it over.
Bryce is down into Newkirk, and he's kind of trying to, Oklahoma that is.
Looks like he's still, trying to work it out. Okay, right now near Bremen. So this is in the process of probably crossing 35 as we speak. So the tornado is crossing 35, very close to Bremen at this point. Jake's getting repositioned. Let's see, as either Gene or
Here's
Bryce.
Your four that are on the tornadoes.
Okay, so let's go to the quad box. There we go. You got Bryce, who's near Newkirk, is getting positioned. He's coming up on that thunderstorm there. You got Jake and Gene also. Now, Gene and Bryce are getting repositioned from the east side of the storm, so they're going to kind of approach it that way, whereas Jake kind of is trying to play catch up. He is on kind of the west and southwest, and that circulation's kind of past him. So he's trying to catch up to where that circulation is now. And very likely, even though we don't have eyes on it, just based on that velocity signature, very easy to say that the tornado is still in progress. If it isn't on top of 35, it is in the process of being on top of 35 right now, and right in the vicinity of Bremen. Still a very dangerous situation ongoing here in northern Oklahoma. Let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler, and you can play track the circulation. Watch, we're going to go back here. And if you just kind of extend that out, that's going to bring it into southern parts of Cowley County at that point. So we'll see if it's still producing a tornado. But, I would keep an eye, even though something would probably have to turn. If you kind of connect the dots here, let's go back and find the circulation. There it was. And we kind of extend that out. See, that's going to bring it into Cowley County south of Silverdale. So as far as Ark City, you're actually in pretty good shape. If this continues its same motion, there is no guarantee it's going to continue this same motion, but that's kind of the track there. Maybe even fudging that a little farther to the north, but yeah, over towards, Silverdale, and then getting into Chautauqua County at that point. So Ark City, this is a storm you got to keep an eye on. But right now, I think the biggest circulation is probably going to stay to your south, but still the potential for the very large hail with that storm. And Colton, I know you were talking about and showed us some pictures of the multiple land spouts that we have going on in KAKE land at the current time.
Yeah, that's right. And I've been watching for those. What I've done here lately is I've pulled up the velocity here on the radar so you can see, again, no guarantee, but this is certainly an indication of where we think a lot of these spouts are. So we could be talking about, here we are in Sedgwick County, from Valley Center down to Mays, going to be on the east side of Colwich at this point, and down even on the west sides of town at this point. So, in theory, we could be talking about these as the cold front advances in, moving in and close to Wichita proper. Certainly the threat at this point is a little higher on the northern side of town, but that's what that new tornado warning is in effect for, Jay. So again, yes, these are a type of tornado. They are obviously just, effective a little bit differently. There's a new tornado warning now, and that's going to be just on the northeastern fringes of KAKE land there. So, Jay, this thing kind of turning into a busy system here. Obviously, from a life-threatening perspective, we're generally talking about the tornado that is in the northern sides of the state of Oklahoma.
I know, and I know you keep saying, why do you keep focusing on this storm that's out of Cake Land? Because this is a significant, strong to violent tornado in progress that will eventually kind of slide into southern parts of Cowley County, maybe near Silverdale, Maple City, and then get into Chautauqua County. And fortunately, the tornadoes that we're dealing with within Cake Land, within Harvey County, within Sedgwick, over into Butler County at this point are on the lower end, but we're going to continue to track them. So we've got Alicia. Let's see, is Alicia's stream available? Let's see who's a little closest, whether Alicia Bryce. Alicia's probably still in the rain at this point. I'm going to back out here. She's near Bremen. It looks like her stream has frozen. Oh, okay, it's back up there. So she's parked near Bremen and just heavy rain. So she's not even going to see it if she's on top of it, unfortunately. Let's go back over to Kake's First Alert Doppler. And I'll tell you what, let's get an update from Bryce. Let's go over to Bryce's stream. We'll take a look at where Bryce is. And also, if we can potentially even get Bryce on the phone. Let's talk to Bryce and see what's going on with him. He looks like he's near Newkirk, and he's in the process of closing in on it from the east. So he's going to kind of have, I think, a better chance of seeing it than Jake. But honestly, Colton, this thing's getting rain wrapped so quickly, hardly anybody's going to have much of a view of it. But as Bryce continues to get closer, you can easily see the lowering. And this history of producing a very significant tornado as that continues tracking just to the north of due east. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Sumner County and for Cowley County. Let's go over to Kake's First Alert Doppler. The reason they've done that is they're confident enough that circulation's still going to stay south of the state line for quite a little while. So on the northern edge of that, they're issuing severe thunderstorm warning. So the severe thunderstorm warning does include our Kansas City. This is Cowley and Sumner, not for damaging wind speed, but for the potential for hail about 1.75 inches in diameter. That hail core right along the state line now. It's already moving east of South Haven, south of Ashton, and that will continue along into the south of US 166, and then eventually move over towards Arkansas City and Silverdale. The tornado threat continuing. And we've got, plenty of Kake First Alert storm trackers on that one. We kind of slide up the line here, and let's get you back into Wichita. Okay. We're finally getting the boundary on the move here.
Yep. And
you remember how we were talking? Yeah, Colt, we were talking about how this was hanging west of Wichita. As soon as we get this boundary clearing Wichita, we start increasingly get into no thunderstorm chance as far as a severe thunderstorm chance. So what Cameron Venable has done is he is positioning himself, because all along that boundary, there's the potential for thunderstorms to rapidly develop and become severe. And meteorologist Brad Ketchum looks like he's still south on 135, trying to get back around in front of this. But we're getting landspout reports way out ahead of these thunderstorms, and that's why I extended the tornado warning basically from Andale to Park City, including northeast Wichita. I mean, the Jabera Airport is in there also.
And Jay, while you're in this neighborhood, I want to mention something. We can keep it on Jay because I want him to focus here. This is, I think, part of the reason why the Weather Service initially was not going to issue tornado warnings and then decided to go ahead. And here's why. Look behind the landspout potential just out to the west of Potwin. Now we're talking about a legit piece of circulation. And by legit, I mean a more traditional tornado potential developing out on the west and the northwest side of Potwin here. So this would be different than a textbook or than a landspout, if you will. This would be more of a cone that comes out below a rotating updraft, which would be more capable of producing tornado-like winds and damage. Okay, so that's why we said if you're in this situation, these are not as dangerous by comparison as to what you're seeing in northern Oklahoma, but these are most certainly worth your attention. And this is the reason why, because if you're standing in western Butler County and you're looking at a circulation and you're sitting there trying to decide if it's a landspout or a tornado, you're better off just taking your precautions and just betting on the idea that maybe it is a tornado. So Jay wanted to bring attention to that, but that could be another reason why pretty much everybody in this cone, or I guess I should say in the polygon, should try to take their tornado precautions.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And this is something that we were talking about earlier on, is once you form these lines, we always look at the southwestern end of the line. One of the slangs we use called tail end Charlie is that we look because that is in the environment that is more likely to produce, as Colton already talked about, a significant tornado. Because instead of the landspout threat, which is kind of along and out ahead of the line, you get on the southwestern edge of this, that's where the environment is more conducive for the bigger tornadoes. And this is why we're very closely watching this area. Matter of fact, is Brad getting close again?
He's still rounding the line.
Okay.
The stream that just caught my attention was Bryce Kintai.
Okay,
and,
let's go back to Bryce then.
I'm not sure where he's at in relation to the lowering itself. but this may be a separate mesocyclone. I'm not sure, but he's on the northern Oklahoma side of things, obviously.
I'll tell you, why don't we get Bryce to get on with us, and we'll debrief him.
Yep.
Jake, if you're still on with us, have you got any update from your position?
Jake is not with us.
Okay, Jake.
I'm sorry, he is. My apologies.
All right, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I'm continuing east here. I'm starting to get a better visual of the area of interest. I need to get east. That way, if I'm looking northwest in a storm like this that has a lot of precip around a potential tornado, I need to get east to have a better visual. So that's what I'm doing now. Hopefully, in a couple miles, I can have a stream for you guys.
All right, Jake. Thank you. Appreciate that. And who else is on? Is Alicia still on, or who's on?
We had to boot her so we can talk to Bryce.
All right. So let me know when as soon as Bryce gets on, we will talk with him.
Here's Mr. Kintai as we speak.
All right, Bryce, you're on KAKE.
Maybe just a moment.
Hey guys, yes.
Let's go for it now. Go ahead, Bryce.
Hey Colton, yeah, I'm east of Bremen on the Oklahoma side, watching this the supercell here on the Oklahoma side of south of Ashton and Portland. This storm is wicked. It is rotating like a top. I don't have a tornado currently. I just came out of Ark City and then down to Newkirk and over, so I haven't. It has been producing tornadoes, but I haven't seen one. But yes, I'm on the Oklahoma side of this and watching this east of Bremen.
All right, Brian, and I tell you what, okay, you keep there, and I want to show you what's going on with the radar. This thing is tightening back up once again. So you got a little, you can kind of make it out right there. That's where it's kind of hooked up, that little bounded weak echo region. We're going to have to tell Alicia, she got to be careful. Looks like it's all east of 35, though. But let me go over to Wichita and take a look at that base velocity here, right there. That is spun back up on the east side of 35. I'm using the Wichita radar at this point, and this is between Bremen and Sumter, and this is heading right over towards Bryce. Let me back out of the way, put Bryce back up. So Bryce is positioned to pick it back up. So Bryce, at this point, I'm assuming you're seeing the radar in your vehicle, and we're both looking at the same part of the storm, correct?
Yes, that is correct, Jay. It is trying to put down a tornado right here on live television. It is really trying.
Yeah.
The motion is wicked. The motion is absolutely wicked with this storm. Lots of rising motion, lots of chaotic motion. We've got a southeast wind sucking into this. We've got inflow. It's got everything it needs to put down a pretty significant tornado here.
Yeah, you're seeing that come into there, absolutely. And even you can see the treetops going in towards that area of circulation at this point.
This goes back to what I was saying a minute ago, that motion never looks as good on video as it does in person. So if it looks good on video, you know that it's really, really moving.
So this will be the next one in this chain, and let me quickly go back over the velocity, and we'll show you how that's tightening up also. And this is making a turn more towards the right yet again. So with the last couple of sweeps, this is more to the southeast. The good news for KAKE land anyway, it's keeping that tornadic circulation away from the Kansas state line. The bad news is yet another tornadic circulation's popped up. So let's go back over to Bryce once again. We'll see if we can get this thing to form for us live on KAKE.
Nothing so far yet, Jay. It is spinning with lots of chaotic motion, but it sure looks like it's getting ready to do something here. It looks maybe slightly less organized than it did just 30 seconds ago, but there's a lot of motion with this storm.
I got to admit, I'm pretty impressed that you have as good a visual as you do, just because, I mean, that's the area of circulation there, and it looks awfully rain wrapped on radar. So let's go back live to Bryce once again.
It does look like the area of rotation is kind of getting back into the rain. You're absolutely right. We had a clear wall cloud just a couple minutes ago, and it just keeps migrating right into the rain. So we may lose visual here, but we're keeping an eye on it. We'll see what it does. All
right, Bryce, let's go back to the radar real quick. I want to show you that area of circulation is right there, and look who is south of that is Gene Thiessen. Let's go to Gene's stream if we can. Look at that wall of water.
That is yep. You are looking at a supercell right there.
That's textbook.
Yeah.
And so, yep, in there is going to be a circulation. So Gene Thiessen is positioned along with Bryce. Again, Alicia's on the backside, so Alicia's stuck at the car wash right now. We're not going to really see much in terms of her view, except just heavy rainfall at this point. And so that tornado warning continues down in Oklahoma.
Alicia's going to drop out and head eastbound, so I mean, she's going to be another set of eyes on this. Let's go back to Bryce. I want to talk about how rapidly this thing has evolved. Yeah, what circulation? Well, it's still in there.
You just can't see it.
It's just hidden, right? So that's what makes this all the more dangerous. Notice there on the right side of the screen, still the motion. I mean, Bryce was calling it wicked. I tend to almost call it violent motion. I mean, that's exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing things, the storm is swallowing everything. It just happens to be masked in rain as well.
Yeah, look at all that. Look at all that inflow going into that. So what does it look like on radar? We'll take a look at the velocity. And the only good news is this is slightly disorganized compared to the volume scan before. Don't get me wrong there. Very easy to see that big area, very strong rotation occurring in the atmosphere, and also wrapped in rain. So you can kind of put your finger right there in between the two. This is, to the northeast of Sumter, and then you switch back over to the reflectivity mode of the radar, and it's completely wrapped up. So that's what we were seeing. The fact that we're losing visibility because that area. So go ahead, Bryce.
It's trying right here in front of me again. It's
look at all that riser.
Circulation is trying to get back to the ground.
Look at all that. Look at all that.
Yeah.
Okay. So this may just pop right in front of you again. Bryce, how far away are you? I mean, you okay, or are you going to have to bail here?
I'm going to have to bail here fairly quickly, but I think I've got a couple more minutes before, I can see this wall of water just coming right down this road. I'm on Peckham Road, actually. So I'm almost in Peckham, if you see that on your radar there. But my goodness, the circulation is just, it's mesmerizing to watch. I mean, this is just spinning like I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's
look at all that rising in there. Yeah. I mean, look at that. Look how quickly that's going up. Okay. Tell you what, Bryce, it's mesmerizing. We don't want to take our eyes off of it. Continuing to look at the circulation near Peckham, Oklahoma. That's our KAKE First Alert Storm Tracker, Bryce Kentai, who the storm has a history of producing a very large tornado. Obviously, they got to go back and rate it later, but we had a decent debris signature on it before it crossed I-35. Velocity signatures really picked back up on it too, and then kind of went through a reorganization phase. And even right now, it is still a very strongly rotating storm, but as far as the what we call the gate-to-gate shear, not as high as what we saw earlier today, but still very dangerous storm that we need to keep an eye on.
If I could, I'm going to talk about land spouts again just for a moment here, because what we're starting to see is typically whenever you get these, you need like a lot of boundary interactions, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that front come through. If you see this kind of arc, though, that's kicking out from the thunderstorms, yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. I'm going to see maybe if we have a new tornado warning, that's going to be for the Oklahoma storm. But with all that being said, at this point, tornado warning does continue for northern parts of Sedgwick, back into parts of Butler, back over into parts of Harvey and even Marion County at this point. Right now, one of the latest reports was a land spout 4 miles west of Park City, and yeah, that checks out. Here it comes. There it is, right? So we're talking about west of Riverview, southwest of Park City, maybe going to be visible from the northwestern sides of the Wichita Metro here within the next several minutes. So we've gotten some impressive photos of these. We'll obviously continue to show those as we can turn those around. So that's why we're totally down with the Weather Service continuing to just say, hey, it's just best to take your tornado precautions in this situation. Even though generally we're not going to be talking about, like I said, your house being wiped off its foundation by one of these, we are at the point right now where we're seeing a couple of these that are on the strong side. And by the way, sirens sounding all across Sedgwick County at this point. So. Yeah,
and they're even sounding over in Andover. I just got a text from my daughter who lives 159th. That she's hearing the sirens there right on the Sedgwick County, Butler County line, which was in the polygon. One thing I wanted to point out is the reflectivity. You can kind of see where it developed another little bounded weak echo region, and the velocity is indicating that yet maybe the next circulation is redeveloping a little north of that one right here. Okay, so I'm going to throw that right there. See that circulate right there is the tighter one, and Bryce is over near Peckham. So Bryce, let's go back to you. What do you got on your end?
Really at status quo, Jay. It just keeps trying to put down a tornado, but it knows I'm watching and it doesn't want to do it in front of me. That's the Bryce effect, I think.
Yeah, I understand that completely. And plus also, you're probably getting a little it's going to be kind of tough too. You may eventually, looks like the rain's going to completely wrap around that circulation you got an eye on. So all we're going to be able to see is kind of the inflow going into it, and maybe not the tornado itself. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, there is a long beaver tail, miles long beaver tail that's sucking into this thing. It's trying, again, right here in front of me. It's really trying to get its act together. It's just, I don't know if it's a storm interaction or what exactly is going on, but it tries and then it fails and then it redevelops, and we're back in the redevelopment where it's just spinning like a top right here, right in front of the rain again.
All right, Bryce, so you keep it on there. Let's go back over the radar presentation on it. We've got the larger hail is on the Kansas side of the line. So basically you go from, Sumner County east of Honeywell all along and south of 166, and that larger hail is going to get over to Arkansas City and Silverdale. But the circulation is staying south of the line, at least at this point in time. And all of the warnings that are within KAKE land are for, at least at this time, for the lower end, what we call landspout tornadoes. But we're still going to be keeping very close eye on the southern flank here. So I'm going to continue to kind of pan up towards the north. And tell you what, let's go over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, looks like where you are, looks like the front is just kind of the process of trying to cross you right now, but there's some thunderstorms kind of going up. So what do we got from your perspective?
Yeah, I was letting you guys know in the chat that, yeah, sirens are indeed going off across Sedgwick County. They just finally stopped at my location. I'm sitting at 77th Street North and North Hydraulic. I am just sitting right to the southwest of the storms going up near Whitewater. One thing you do notice on radar, it does look like we're starting to see some outflow go out of these storms, so that's a good sign. It means storms are kind of exhaling or breathing out. Usually when we're considering true tornado genesis, you think of wind being sucked into storms. Not seeing that so much up here. And, just the point that we've been driving home, there's been a lot of focus on that storm down in Oklahoma. That's a violent tornado, and it definitely deserves attention. The lower end tornadoes, the landspouts, yes, they are still tornadoes, and yes, they set off the sirens, but they, like Colton said a while ago, these aren't going to eradicate your house and destroy, it's not a super violent tornado. It's a form of tornado, but you can only dedicate so much attention. And in this situation, northern Oklahoma, that is the storm of the day. Jay.
All right, thanks a lot, Colton. Cameron, let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. And this is what Cameron was talking about. See this line? This is what we call the outflow. Think of it as you got a glass of water, you pour it on the table. What happens? It hits the table, it spreads out in all directions. We'll take that glass of water and do it while it's moving at 30 miles an hour and pour it, and it's going to, go out ahead of it. And that's what we got here. So we have cooler air getting exhausted from the thunderstorms moving through Heston, already through Newton at this point. It's already past Hopkins. It's already through Cassidy, and it's crossing the turnpike on 77. And think of that as kind of a little small, close to the ground cold front, and it just spreads out in all directions. Now, the good news is the farther that gets away from this line of thunderstorms, that's going to kind of cut the legs out under the chance of getting the little tornadoes to form right along the line. Now, admittedly, right along that outflow, sure, there could be a little brief, quick circulation, but those, again, tend to be very brief, very fast, and do minimal damage, if any. Cameron is located right here. Why? Because notice how the thunderstorms keep redeveloping back to the southwest along that cold front. So Cameron is ready for any kind of new thunderstorms that pop up until that boundary gets all the way through Wichita. And there it is there. We knew it was going to have to get later in the day before that boundary started marching east. What it finally has is Goddard on over towards probably Mays right now, and it'll be slipping through greater Wichita. The good news is once you get on the backside of that, the risk for severe weather starts dropping off dramatically at this point. If you've got pictures to share, please send them our way. You got the, got the landspouts. Earlier we had the pictures of the large hail. So go ahead and get them in here to us so we can share them with you. Colton, and I see you got the velocity data up within that tornado warning across parts of south central Kansas. And also, what has been the hail trend, too? Has the hail trend actually gone down on these lately?
Well, yeah, generally, yes. And I do think part of that is because you were talking about the storms producing outflow and, kind of exhaling, if you will. So that's been good. I going to knock on wood here, but I do think that the northern and northeastern Sedgwick County storms are kind of beginning to weaken to some degree. That's not going to necessarily limit the landspout potential, because the landspout potential is more of a dynamic thing. Now, with all of that being said, I know we keep focusing on this cell, but it's because there are people, you know, if you live down in this portion, you at least have friends or family that live just over the state line. So even though they may technically don't have the pleasure of living in KAKE land, they do. You do still certainly care about them. So with all of that, the parent supercell, the bulk of it is still in Oklahoma as well. That's where still the bulk of the hail threat is. But Ark City, I would say you folks, as far north as Ark City and eventually over to Cameron and Silverdale, you probably need to get ready for up to golf ball size hail out of this storm. This is a powerful updraft, if you can't tell. I mean, we're talking about a very, very powerful mesocyclone. So hail can get thrown out ahead of this even. That's pretty large in diameter.
All right, let's get back over to the storm and show you the reflectivity. And so he showed you what was called the VIL, vertically integrated liquid. There's the reflectivity as far as that hail core moving across Sumter County and into Cowley County. Now, looking at, okay, you got Jake's stream again. I'll get out of the way. We can take a look at that. Look at that. That is huge. And here is the area of circulation wrapping back up into itself there. Let me go over and take a look at some of the velocity data with this. And as we do, we'll go over to Wichita. I'm going to take a look at base velocity, and don't really see what we call a stinger, but we have an incredibly strong rotation in this storm. I mean, this thing is spinning like an absolute top. So it could produce a tornado again at any time, but because it is spinning so strong, notice how it has made that turn even more to the right. So instead of even moving east or moving slightly north of east, it's moving slightly south of east. So that's keeping this very powerful circulation with this supercell out of KAKE land at this point. And there's Bryce. You can go ahead and punch Bryce up full, because this is, I mean, this is, you got great video of that. And Bryce, you still on the phone with us?
Yeah, Jay, I'm still here, still watching this storm. It is, I mean, it is a storm. You can see the rain and hail, and you can see the rotation right out in front that we've just been watching. Just, it puts down little fingers and dances around, and then it dissipates, and then it just does it all again. It is a heck of a storm. We're just going to try to stay ahead of this. We're just going to kind of keep moving east just a couple miles and then taking another look at it. And that's just what we did. We're just going to keep ahead of this storm for you.
All right, thanks a lot, Bryce. So we're continuing to track that live. Let's go back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. So this story is looking just right in here. Just incredible. We'll see if this wraps back up and produces yet another tornado. But at this point, this is just staying outside of KAKE land. So if it does cross into KAKE land, this is going to happen well to the east of Arkansas City. In Arkansas City, you may have to deal with this very large hail that's headed your way. But as far as the tornado threat, at this point, that's staying south of the state line and continues to track away. So we'll kind of slide up to the north here. And as we do, let's get back into greater Wichita. So far, we've been lucky, but notice the thunderstorms are starting to blossom now at the north interchange. That's K254 and I-235 and also K96. Thunderstorms are kind of starting to pop at this moment. So let's go back live to meteorologist Cameron Venable, who is, looks like you're just kind of close. Okay, you're just off of 135 at this point. So why don't you give us a position update and what's going on with you?
Yep. Yeah, I did just notice that storm go up due southeast of me. Looks like it went up as there was some outflow, yeah. So that's oh yeah, wow, look at that. I haven't looked off to the southeast in a bit. I've been focusing back up to the northeast. Wow, that ain't too bad over there. Let's see. Yeah, that's, hey, that's starting to really take off. So, I mean, we're not done. We still have to have the cold front go through Wichita. And, you know, it has had a history of trying to produce actual legitimate tornadoes up near Burns. Then we had a bunch of spouts. So we are not done. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Wichita didn't get anything. That is what we call fortunate. We haven't got anything. We are not done yet, so just still be vigilant. We got to wait for this cold front to come through, but we do have a storm that's firing just due north east of Wichita. Jeff.
All right, so let's go back over to where Cameron is right here, and he just showed you what is popping off down to his south. So, Cameron, I'm assuming you're going to be, you're going to head down south and try to get ahead of this? Is that your plan right now?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm going to try to do that. Maybe go down to Andover and then back up to El Dorado potentially.
Okay, so yeah, so Cameron, why don't you come on down? Let's get ahead of this so you can keep an eye on that for us. So this is what's building into Greater Wichita now. So it's along 254, so over from Benton. We'll see if it eventually gets over to Towanda, but basically we're talking Sedgwick County all along 254, Bel Air, all the way down to K96. This is going to continue to increase in intensity. So if you live in Andover, this may bring you some hail along with some very heavy rain. And considering all the land spouts that we had, keep an eye out for potential land spouts to develop with that part of the storm. Let's kind of track the line and go back towards the northeast. This is heavy rain and also some hail between Whitewater and Potwin along K196. Heavy rain starting to taper off in Burns now. Let's get up into Chase County. Thunderstorm moving through Matfield Green, and that's going to move over the Matfield Green service area on the turnpike. But as we get a little closer here, that outflow boundary is already getting into El Dorado now. So don't be surprised if the winds suddenly turn out of the northwest and out of the north, and you feel the temperature drop. That's going to be the outflow from the thunderstorms. But that development continues on that southwest flank that is now moving into Greater Wichita, North Wichita, getting into Northeast Wichita. And we'll see if this continues kind of evolving back over towards downtown. And let's continue sliding down to the south, and then we'll pick up the severe thunderstorm warning for Cowley County and for Sumter County for the large hail. But the area of circulation continues to exist just across the line down into Oklahoma. You can kind of make out the little hook there. Let's see how that lines up with the velocity data. So let's go back over to Wichita, look at 0.5 degrees, and it's still an incredibly strong spin. I mean, that's winds going away, that's winds going towards. But as far as what we call gate-to-gate shear, the velocity and everything right next to each other, we're not really seeing that at the current time. So, Colton, you got, okay, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go back over to meteorologist Colton, and you've gotten some nice video, Colton.
Yeah, we've gotten several from here or in and around the Wichita metro area. This one from KAKE's very own Sydney Ferguson there. This was near the Sedgwick area. So we're talking on the north side of the metro area here, and the video comes back into focus here in just a second. Whenever it loops back through, we'll be able to make out there. That is a landspout tornado right there. These are often pretty photogenic, and a lot of times it's because the big fat updraft really isn't in the way. All right. This is that same photo we talked about earlier from Valley Center from Sedgwick County EM Cody Sharvett. This was from the same one earlier from Newton. You remember this was the one that kind of set this whole landspout thing in motion. So again, yeah, that's certainly a moving piece of circulation that most definitely, I mean, you can talk about damage out of these, and obviously that catches your attention very much, and it definitely makes you think I probably ought to be headed down to the basement or things like that. And then, of course, this is just some hail photos from earlier. So, Jay, we went from talking about, a big hail potential today, tornado potential. I have to admit, the landspout hole situation wasn't necessarily on my radar during the forecast today. Of course, it happens to be where they happen all over the metro area. Oh, no. So I think thousands of people are seeing their first tornado today. Kind of interesting that hopefully they're not doing any damage, and a lot of times they don't do a whole lot. And we got a report earlier today near Burns. Well, we just got another report that within the last 10 minutes, more spouts are being spotted around Burns. So that it continues to have. So again, the environment is here for these land spouts to continue to be produced. The big storm of the moment is what's down in Oklahoma. And let's go back. I'll tell you what, let's go back to Jake Thompson. He's back in a really good position with that one. So he's continuing to watch it from his vantage point. We can even sample, let's see, and Gene Thiessen, he's got a really good looking shot from his position of that supercell, all down in Oklahoma. So you see Gene there in the lower right of the screen. Alicia, she's kind of on the northern side of that. So you got Bryce and Jake and Gene all on the same storm with that. But let's talk about the land spouts once again. I tell you, a lot of people are going to see these. And the last ones were reported near Burns about 10 minutes ago. And here comes a new tornado warning. That's out of Topeka, I believe. Yep. Okay, that's for Lyon County. So that is out of KAKE land at that point. Go over to the radar here, and I'm going to turn down the sensitivity, help us kind of find the outflow boundaries with that storm as that continues. So here we go. We go over towards Burns, seeing more of the land spouts right along the back edge of that storm line. And notice how the thunderstorms are continuing to build back down towards the southwest. So we're finally starting to see our first echoes along I-135 and K-96, that interchange.
and these continue to move over towards the northeast. So currently along 254 in Benton, this is going to be yet another suspect area. We're going to continue to watch along the southern flank of that. Let's go back live over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, why don't you give us an update? That's a nice looking shot you got there.
I know, right? This is insane. The storm structure. I really wish there's a way I could pan up so you could see the back sheared anvils on these storms. I mean, the wind shear is just incredible. That's why we're getting so much in the way of, that tornado environment, wind turning with height. These storms are beyond impressive. I'm kind of bummed I haven't seen any of these spouts. I saw one very briefly, but for the sheer amount of land spouts we've seen at the leading edge, I'm hoping personally to maybe see one and be able to show it to you guys, but so far no luck. I'm going down toward Andover. We're going to get on the south side of that storm and see if we can actually get a real tornado, one that is a supercellular tornado associated with a rotating updraft. But needless to say, it's been an active day, and we aren't quite over yet. Jay?
All right, thanks a lot, Cameron. Getting repositioned for that. And Cameron, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you going to go down and blast over on 254? Is that your plan? Or are you going to come all the way down to K96 and 54?
Probably blast on probably 254.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We'll keep in touch with you. Excellent looking pictures there. And obviously, we just got some more reports within the past 10 minutes of, some more land spouts around Bern. So we have got Spoutapalooza going on today along this whole line of thunderstorms as that continues to track. Fortunately, these hopefully should stay on the weaker end and do minimal damage. We're going to be watching the southern flank of this as it continues to develop for the potential anyway for a more significant tornado to develop. The atmosphere is possible to do that. No guarantee it will. I've really cranked up the sensitivity on the radar so you can kind of see the outflow boundaries here. The ones already south through Heston and down south of Cassidy at this point, and those continue to move away from the storm. So you get that wind shift as that comes through. The winds are going to come either out of the north or out of the northwest. You'll notice the temperature drop. Still keep an eye on the storm that's down in Oklahoma. I mean, this is definitely the storm of the moment. This has a history of producing quite a large tornado. Looks like it may be trying to get reorganized again. Let me kind of get out of the way. It's like, okay, Bryce, see a lot of little rising Scuddy here. What's going on?
Yeah, I just had a funnel halfway around not 30 seconds ago. I tried to interrupt you, but it didn't come through. But anyway, yeah, it's still, there is so much motion with this storm. But yeah, we just had a pretty skinny funnel, but it was very visible halfway to the ground, just probably about a minute ago at this point.
Okay, and I'll show you what Bryce is looking at. So let's go back over. See that little notch right there. So we're going to play, match the notch with the velocity, and notice how there it is. It's gotten what we call gate to gate once again. So that's very broad area, very strong circulation, but that's where it's coming together. And that's right to the northwest of where Bryce is looking. So right there. So we're going to back the view out one more time.
Jay, I've got another funnel now.
Okay, let's go to Bryce. All right, Bryce, we'll go ahead and just leave your stream up. Go ahead and take it full. Thank you.
And we may be just a tad delayed here yeah, you can see it sort of starting to come into view there. So certainly not surprised to see a lot of motion. Yeah, Bryce, that's a textbook funnel right there.
Right there. Very nice. Very nicely done. There's just a slight lag in the stream, so that's why sometimes when you hear a chaser report something, we'll get a chance to switch over to it and see it live. So this is meteorologist and KAKE First Alert Storm Tracker Bryce Kentai, who's near Newkirk, Oklahoma. This thunderstorm earlier produced a significant tornado, a very well-pronounced debris signature using dual polarization Doppler radar. And then it's produced some probably other, at least funnels, if not tornadoes since then, since it's gone on the east side of Interstate 35 here in KAKE County, Oklahoma, that we continue to watch. Within KAKE land, it's been the very photogenic, but not as powerful tornado. Go ahead, Bryce.
We've got a tornado back in the rain. It was just a white rope just a second ago. If you see, there was a truck that was kind of in the way.
It just backed out.
And the truck backs out, and then there's a tornado back in the rain. I don't know if it'll come through. It is still, if it's not on the ground, it is right there. And this storm is rotating in so many different spots.
It is. I mean, there's a very broad area circulation, and this is kind of the northern end of it.
It's trying to get back to the ground here. I'll keep watching it. We're close. We are very close.
Absolutely. This thing is it'll be interesting to see if it kind of wraps back up. Let me double box if I can here, and we'll show what's going on so we're going to keep Bryce's stream there. See, he's looking right in here. That's where that has kind of come back in there. So we're going to see if that kind of wraps back up and occludes itself.
The meteorologist Brooklyn Ray's first photogenic tornado. She's with me today, helping drive and keep me safe.
Well,
so
how about that?
Well, we appreciate the fact that
watching this thing.
We appreciate the fact that Brooklyn is helping you out, and be sure to let Brooklyn know she's always welcome to make a guest appearance right here on KAKE.
And Bryce, if you do me a personal favor,
see things from this side, not in the studio. It's pretty neat.
Well, Brooklyn, next time we're going to switch spots, okay?
No, thank you. This is way cooler. No offense.
Real quick, just if I could interrupt just for a moment here, we're getting reports of a developing land spout in the metro area. We're talking about at the K96 and Interstate 135 area. Again, to some degree, it doesn't, especially as close as we are to the radars, doesn't do much good to take a look at the velocity here because all of it generally appears to potentially be a land spout. Okay, so with that being said, the same threats continue as have been the case throughout the evening hours here. Go ahead and take your tornado precautions because it's certainly a possibility that, again, you don't want to sit there and be playing the game of trying to figure out if you're looking at a land spout or a tornado. Either one could do damage and could do harm to you, so just make sure you're taking your tornado precautions. I would not be surprised if we saw this warning extended. The good part is, the cold front is beginning to get a little bit of a move on at this point, so that is helping to kind of mitigate the land spout threat. That kind of does a pretty good job of disrupting some of the upper levels. In fact, here at the TV station, we now have a westerly wind. You can see the ballpark now has a westerly wind, whereas things are still southerly at the Kansas Aviation Museum and the Commerce Bank building. So that gives you an idea as the front moves across the metro where it is. It's going to flip those winds to first be westerly, and then eventually they would become northerly. So same reports that we've been seeing. We're also hearing a lot of damage in the Marion County area, generally from that large, it may not be a stretch at this point to have called it a devastating hailstorm. So I know that we have a KAKE News crew on the way. Obviously, we'll continue to bring updates as we get closer at this point, we're in the 8 o'clock hour, Jay. So as we get close to the evening, the newscast later will be talking about what that damage looks like.
The only unfortunate thing about this is as we get later in the evening, we are concerned that as we get southeast of Wichita, the environment for tornadoes, unfortunately, is going to get worse.
Yeah.
So we're not done with this yet. Tell you what, while I kind of show radar here a little bit, why don't you see if you can get the East Garvey cam swung around, and maybe we can get a look at that location you were talking about.
Okay.
As far as that. So here we are with this whole line of thunderstorms now raining from downtown Wichita northeast over towards Jabera. It's about to roll into Andover from Towanda and Potwin. And we've had occasional reports, like I said, of land spout, little weaker, briefer tornadoes. And we will continue to track these. Anytime that this kind of pops in the southern end, notice how this line continues to develop. So this could potentially develop as far south as the I-135 Turnpike and 235 interchange on the south side of town. The good news is once you get on the chances for severe weather are going to start to go down. So you got the rain and the hail. Jabera just off to the east of Jabera. Again, this storm is going to roll into Andover. And as it does, land spout, little weaker, briefer tornadoes are definitely possible as we continue to track off to the northeast. You got the hail core about to roll into Benton now, crossing 254 over towards Towanda. And I see meteorologist Cameron Venable is on K254 now. So let's go and check in with Cameron. I know you're on the back side of those storms. Why don't you give us an update?
Yeah, I saw that report of that developing spout, and I was like right exactly where they said it was potentially developing, and I did not see anything at all. So keep in mind, we're looking at the radar trying to see just little tiny areas of rain yet. We got to wait until the low-level jet gets here, and really, if you are southeast of Wichita, you still need to keep a very close eye on things until these leave and into Oklahoma. Jay?
All right, let's go back live to KAKE's First Alert Doppler. We're tracking that whole line from Cassidy to DeGraft. This is rolling into El Dorado again with that potential threat for the landspout tornadoes. And notice how the line does continue to intensify back to the southwest along the line. So we'll see if it starts raining on top of McConnell, but this is over East Wichita, over towards Town East, getting into Andover as we speak. As you get on the east side of it, I mean the west side of that line though, your chances for severe weather quickly drop on off. Let's get you back down into Oklahoma. Pretty obvious what we call bounded weak echo region. Bryce, if you're still with us, are you able to see it, or is there a lot of rain between you and that area of circulation now?
We got absolutely enveloped with this rain. So the road options as you get closer towards Nuke just aren't the best. But so we're headed south, but we're just in the heavy rain and hail and wind at this point. No hail yet, but zero visibility. So we may not be able to get back ahead of this, Jay.
All right. Okay. Understood. And yeah, this is you could tell it's been kind of wrapped in rain. Yeah, that was almost a jump scare for just that's a de-aliasing area going on there, but the area of circulation, I'm with you on that. But right here between Peckham and Newkirk is the strongest area of circulation. There's almost just completely enveloped in rain in this time. Here we go over the past 30 minutes, and see there's the area of circulation. Then what happened is there's your little what I call the gate-to-gate shear. See how it's really touching. That's where that could have a tornado still in progress at this point. Got to remember, Bryce can't see it anymore. Doesn't mean it isn't there. Just means it's completely wrapped in rain. And then, yeah, that deal. And then, boom, you see that with give it a volume scanner to kind of clear itself back up. But right there between Peckham and Newkirk, that's where a tornado is going to be. The only good thing for Cake Land is it's moving pretty much due east again. And
if anything, I was just thinking it's kind of bobbled to the south. If anything, well, it
kind of took that little bit of a turn to the right, but now it looks like it's kind of more kind of due east again based on that right there.
I don't think it's come at any point within 10 or 15 miles of the state line.
True. So we're actually getting increasingly comfortable with kind of at some point we're going to let that go, except for the big hail threat that's going to be on the north side of the line. So let's go back over to the base. Yeah, go ahead, Colton.
Yeah, just want to mention here, the Weather Service has mentioned that they are receiving less and less landspout reports here by the minute. And so with that being said, their plan is to go ahead and let that tornado warning go, the one that does include part of the Wichita metro area, parts of Sedgwick over into Butler, up into even areas off to the north into the east of that. They're going to replace that with a severe thunderstorm warning. Doesn't mean the landspouts are just suddenly going to end. We do think that as the cold front is advancing, it's kind of limiting that threat pretty quickly. It's at least doing a good job of doing that. And so certainly still, what that doesn't mean, that certainly means that the line itself can still develop a couplet or a traditional tornado. So at any time, we could go back into a tornado warning. Okay, caught my attention. Let's go to Alicia Short if we can. Jay, if you want to take a look at that, if that is anything of interest.
Okay, yeah, she's definitely got, the lightning's really helping her out here.
And I did notice, I mean, it looks like it just turned to nighttime on these chasers. That's just how large and obscuring this thunderstorm is.
They have miles of cloud above them. Yeah. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, this does mean that the tornado warning is going to be officially allowed to end here within just the next little while. I'm going to see when this runs out to 8:15. So unless, an influx of landspout reports comes in, or, Lord forbid we saw a couplet develop, this thing is going to be able to expire. And at this point, the front, as I was showing just a moment ago, is doing a pretty good job of clearing through Sedgwick County, and it won't be long before we're behind the front. The threat for Sedgwick has ended.
Yeah, and another good thing, too, is now they're getting really late in the day. Just a little bit of cool down at the near surface can kind of help reduce that landspout threat a little bit. So at least we're trending in the right direction there. But Alicia, see, there she is right there. And so what she was probably showing with the lightning flashes, she's looking right into the mouth of the storm. Okay, there's your replacement that you were talking about. That's Sedgwick, Butler, Chase, and Greenwood, all now going down to a severe thunderstorm warning. So there's the new yellow polygon, and I'll highlight it for you. This is until 9:15, and notice how they've knocked the hail size down to 1 inch and also wind speed to 60, and they put in what they call tornado possible. So that's an acknowledgement that, hey, you know what, we still had a lot of landspouts, we could still have some landspouts, but we think that threat has kind of rolled back a little bit. As far as that hail up to 1 inch in diameter, I'm kind of surprised that they dialed it back that much, just given the history of what we've seen earlier today, because what's rolling down K96 on East Wichita and into Andover. Send us your reports, because we'd like to know, are we getting inch hail with this? Notice that thunderstorm line is developed all the way back towards the Kellogg Turnpike K96 interchange at this point. Okay, so let's go over to that and let's take that. There you go.
My goodness.
There you go. This is from our backyard. Matthew is the one that punched this up from it. This is one of the KAKE courtyard cameras that we just kind of tilted up. So that is the storm that is over basically the Kellogg K96 Turnpike interchange that is rolling across far east Wichita and into Andover. I mean, my goodness, we got some very
unreal.
We got some impressive storm structure going on today. So, Colton, at some point, just remind everybody the telephone number where they can send us those hail reports, because we would love if you shared those with us. Hail pictures are great, especially if you throw that quarter down next to it, throw that ping pong or golf ball next to it, and take that photo. That really helps us identify the hail sizes. But you're looking live, and you're looking for the KAKE studio. So here we are at West and 13th, looking clear across the other side of the county at this point for that thunderstorm that continues to develop down towards McConnell Air Force Base. Thank you for showing us that. And okay, Colton, I see you got the number up for us.
I did, but I tell you what, I mean, that was just breathtaking. Almost hate to cut to me after that, but yes, please do. Certainly, I do think that hail core over on the east side of town has begun to ramp up just a little bit. That would be between the kind of Kellogg and K96 interchange and Andover. So again, for your reports, like Jay said, the best thing you can do is throw down a quarter or throw down a golf ball next to it, or frankly, the best thing you can do is measure it for us. But with all that said, 757-525-3697, easy way to remember that KAKE OYS for on your side. And remember, it helps if you give us your name, first of all, so we can give you credit. And second of all, obviously, we need your location so we know which storm to associate it with. So please send those. I'm sure, as you've been seeing, we've been throwing those on the air all evening long, and they help us as well with our partnership with the Weather Service, because we're able to kind of give them an idea of what's going on within the thunderstorms as well. So I've continued to take plenty of looks at those. Right. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I got a text from, okay, my mother lives near 21st and 143rd, and I had hail exclamation point. And I'm like, how big? So hopefully we'll get a report back. And also, let's see, and we'll get a report of larger than pea size right now from 159th, just north of Central. That one's from my daughter, Ainsley. Thanks for the hail reports. Remember, use that ruler. Give me those hail reports. Gotta love it. So she's located right here along the county line, and my mother's located right about there, about a mile to the west of the county line. So they're in the larger hail core, so we'll continue to get those reports as that continues to come through. But notice the thunderstorm line continues to redevelop towards McConnell Air Force Base, and hail and wind are going to be our primary considerations with this one. Let's go back over to Cameron. Cameron, why don't you give us an update on your position, what you've got going on?
Yeah, dropping south on North Andover Road, and the hail hasn't been severe, even though it looks like I'm about to go into the worst of it. It's definitely loud, as hail always is, but it's mainly been sub-severe. I sliced right through the core. A little nervous with, how large the hail was earlier. Baseballs and 3-inch plus. Definitely don't want to punch that. But I am in the worst of the hail core in about 5 seconds. So if I'm not getting larger stones, okay. Latest scan looks like it's not as bad. So I think the fact that we're in the line, we are reducing that overall hail size. Once again, for the most part, I've only seen sub-severe hail. That means less than a quarter in diameter. Okay.
All right, Terry, let's just hang with you for a little bit here and just give us the play-by-play as you continue to track through that. And Colton,
I mean, it looks like I'm in the worst of it now. Okay, here we go. It's getting a little larger, maybe a couple half-inchers. I was spitting out some larger ones a second ago. But as, or maybe people don't know this, but radar always has some delay to it. It has maybe 2-3 minutes delay when it's in rapid scan. So even though it looks like I'm in the worst of the hail core, maybe I'm not. But visually, the hail size is increasing, but still it's a little bigger than peas. I see occasionally maybe a half inch in there, but I mean, these are pretty small hailstones. Hail's always loud, but usually you can judge pretty well when the hail gets larger than severe because it is incredibly loud. Once you hear those things hitting you and dinging hard, you're like, all right, yeah, that was, what are we doing here? Okay. That was a little bit of street flooding. I was wondering what that car was doing.
So you're
a little bit of street flooding, but yeah.
You're heading down Andover Road, so there you go.
There's barely any hail now. Now it's just rain.
There you go. Yeah, Andover High School is about to appear on his left, and then it'll just keep on going down, and then Timbuktu, good place to grab a burger. That's going to be on the right here as you get over to 13th. Hey, my mama just said it stopped hailing now at 21st and 143rd. Mama, thanks for the report. Hey, Ains, thanks for sending in that. We're going to turn it. And Tanner Swift, former KAKE morning meteorologist, sent us some hail pic. We're going to get that on air, too.
And it was take your daughter to work day after all.
Yeah, it was. Hey, Ainsley, you made it on TV.
We'll explain that later.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah. Today's Take Your Daughter to Work Day. Obviously, a little busy for that today. So the hail core, fortunately, you can see it's not as potent now that it's rolling from Andover, crossing Kellogg, and that's going to make it down towards Rose Hill. You got the heavy rain and smaller hail around the turnpike all the way up to Towanda at this point. I'm going to kind of move the view up towards the northeast, and we're going to see another large hail core north of Towanda. So anywhere from Towanda back into El Dorado, that's probably going to be some quarters, maybe a little larger than quarters, should that hold together and continue to track towards you. So severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to replace the tornado warning. Now that we kind of cooling things down a little bit, we haven't had any reports of land spouts in a while. And then I say that, and who's the ding for? New tornado warning just came out for hopefully not KAKE land. Butler, Chase, Greenwood would have appeared on the screen. So Butler, Chase, Greenwood, and Sedgwick until 9:15. Again, hail, I'm going to say quarter plus. We could get a few stones larger than that. The winds gusting to 60. The tornado possible is because we did have all those land spouts earlier with that. We look down to the south now. Let me go back to the kind of expand the view a little bit. And then we're going to pan down into parts of Oklahoma where we continue that thunderstorm with the tornado. The tornado has stayed on the Oklahoma side of the line, and that circulation is near Newkirk, continues off to the east of Newkirk. And what's going to be over towards Arkansas City, that's just going to be the potential for some hail at this point. Let's go back and double check the velocity mode, make sure that circulation's staying. There you go, right in the vicinity of Newkirk. And God, everybody's in the dark now. Jake's in the dark, Bryce is in the dark, Alicia's in the dark. So lightning is your best friend at this point. Let's go over to Alicia, though. Alicia's actually got some lightning helping her out at times, though.
Yeah, at times, and she has remained on the big cell here. We've lost her location, so I don't remember. If Alicia, if you're one of the ones who we can still talk to, do me a favor and reset that if you would not mind. But still, generally, I mean, this thing is becoming a little bit dangerous to chase. No, it's not nighttime in Oklahoma. It is still daytime, just underneath this thunderstorm. It looks like it is nighttime. By the way, I just have to issue a thank you for the hundreds of photos we are getting in. We're going to sift through these, and I guarantee you, if you took a really, really good one, you're going to see it tonight on the air on KAKE News. And because most certainly we got a lot of good ones. Let's talk about the hail potential here, as it's still ongoing for the eastern sides of the Wichita metro area now. This has ramped back up a little bit. This is near the vicinity of where meteorologist Cameron Venable is. Give me just a second here, and I'm going to place his location right there on the map. So you can see that's the hail core that Cam was in just a moment ago, where it's continuing to move off to the north and east. So here's the deal for the Kansas Turnpike from the Sedgwick-Butler County line all the way up to the north and east, even on the northeast side of El Dorado. You're going to have to keep an eye on this over the next little while, because these hail cores were right now beginning to approach the point where it's going to be back in the damaging hail category. So this updraft may be continuing to strengthen a little bit, Jay. Not a shock. We knew around and right after sunset that potential was there. So, you know, the sheer dynamics are there. We're not out of the woods on a tornado threat yet either on this.
We're not. The one thing that's working our advantage is the fact that it's still aligned at this point. If this thing gets gaps in the line, we're going to be very concerned on the southwest flank of any kind of gap, giving to the increasingly dynamic environment it's going to get into. Now, this is moving into El Dorado. Let's go live now to Kate Devine. Kate is live in El Dorado. So, Kate, give us your position and let us know which way you're looking right now.
Yes, Jay, we are moving north on Main Street. We just passed El Dorado Middle School here, and we're heading to Marion County right now. And it just started raining here, I would say about 10 minutes ago. It's coming down pretty hard here. So far, we haven't seen any hail. I'll let you guys kind of see through here. We actually might be getting some hail as we speak for the first time. We're hearing that on our car right now. It doesn't look to be super big yet. Maybe golf ball size, but as you can see, there's the clouds up there. There's lots of lightning. It's looking pretty ominous as we speak, but it is getting heavier and heavier rain as we head towards Marion County. So of course we'll keep you guys updated because there have been reports of damage there. But for now, we are in El Dorado heading to Marion County, and we'll check back in with you guys soon. In El Dorado, Kate Devine, KAKE News on your side.
All right, Kate. So Kate is heading on 77 north. Her plan is to get up into Marion County, where we had the larger hail earlier today. And as we go back over the past 30 minutes, we're still going to see the potential for some very large hail with this. Let me go over to the Wichita radar. Take a look at the base reflectivity by itself here. I'm going to roll that forward over the past 30 minutes. And Cameron, last time we checked you were driving south through Andover on Andover Road. Looks like that hail core may have spiked up just a little bit. What have you got going on now?
Mainly just rain. Occasionally it's throwing down a stone. I can hear it mixing in, but I'm going to probably just keep going south. Oh, there you go. Rain quite a bit harder. Probably just go south toward Rose Hill and kind of just follow the southwest flank and see if it does anything. If it's going to do something, this is the one. Okay, now we're back into the hail. You can clearly hear the hail. Probably kind of hard to hear me. But needless to say, heavy rain, got some hail. Can't tell the size at the moment. It's raining quite a bit. I mean, look how much of visibility has dropped here in Andover. Okay.
All right, thanks a lot. We continue this with KAKE's First Alert Doppler. So he's right now on Andover Road heading to the south, got that hail core there. But this can increasingly, thank goodness it's aligned at this point. If we had individual cells develop anywhere in this zone, we would be very concerned about a tornado threat. So we're not finished yet. The good news is, as this line moves through on the backside of it, that is going to really, you're done with the severe threat on the backside, but still, for the next few hours, southern Sedgwick County, into Cowley, southern Butler, Greenwood, Elk, and Chautauqua are all in a very favorable area where if we get an individual cell, that it can produce a tornado. See what's down here south of Enid? That's going to bear watching. See this little southwest flank here, that thunderstorm? That's going to bear watching. This has been really impressive. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to tell you, I know it's well outside of KAKE land, but just take a peek at that Enid tornado just whenever you get an opportunity from the Vance radar. It is
pretty, this one all the way down here?
Yeah, I mean, it's too far out to warrant covering. That's where Jake is headed. Okay. But, I mean, you know, I guess my point is it goes to show what the environment is today, and that same environment still exists inside of KAKE land. The gap between the line of storms and the storm that we're watching there in Oklahoma, that gap that Jay is outlining right there, we are very, very thankful that that is empty of a supercell right now. Because what we saw on the Oklahoma state line and what we're seeing around the Enid area right now back into Oklahoma is violent, violent tornadoes. So
and all that is mainly down in Oklahoma. Everything's been in Oklahoma except for the weaker, briefer tornadoes that we've been dealing with at this point. So yeah, we're going to continue just to hope that nothing pops into this zone right here, because if it does, it could quickly grow and have a tornado threat. So severe thunderstorm warning in effect, including El Dorado, including Augusta, and then we got the tornado threat down in Oklahoma at this point. And we really appreciate all of the pictures and everything you've sent to us, especially when that hail came through East Wichita. So we continue to look at that, and so everything continues to go on at this one. So at the current time, the tornado warnings are not in effect for KAKE land. So let's kind of recalibrate what we're going to do here. Current time is 8:26. Tell you what, at this point, let's get to 8:30. And is there? We got a network? We're in the draft, right? Okay. Let's because we don't have any tornado warnings at the current time. So at some point, let us know when the next commercial break runs on the net, and then what we'll try to do is cleanly rejoin the draft at the end of that commercial break. and then we will do updates during the commercial breaks. At that point, obviously, if we get tornado threats, we'll go continuous at that point. But the fact that we've kind of been able to kind of take a step back here and catch our breath, the tornado threat isn't gone, but we don't have anything cooking right now, and we're going to continue to watch this zone for development. So, okay. So we're going to go ahead and let's get you back to the draft at this point, and then we're going to give you updates during the commercial breaks. And should any tornadoes redevelop, we'll be here live on KAKE.